Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing, live show number 172. I am your host, and possibly only your only host today, Lauren Gray from Hospitality Digital Marketing. Since it is Black Friday post-Thanksgiving, I certainly appreciate all the time that my fellow co-hosts give me through the course of the year to join us every week, Friday, 11:30 Eastern, which we've been doing now for well into our fourth year. But then again, there's holidays and there's family and there's just times where this doesn't work. Case in point, for those who may listen to this later or are watching to us live now, we did not get a well-curated list from Mr. Robert Cole this week, which understandably so because of holidays. He just was enjoying his time with family. So because of that, we did not get a list out. So those from the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association's Marketing Board, who is quite accustomed to getting a very good list of what will be potential topics for today's show, you didn't get it. But that's okay, because we really want to take this time. I wanted to take this time. We focus so much on news and newsworthy, and justifiably so. Each week, there's always something that does affect our industry, and more importantly, affects your business in our hospitality industry, which is why we curate the list so much, because it's not so much about reconstituting the list, the news items that you find on a variety of feeds on a weekly basis. You can be overwhelmed just trying to keep up with conversation. What you're looking for, and pardon me while I act distracted, since I am my own one-man show today, I'm trying to get us live on Facebook, and for some reason, my Facebook wants to go over and freeze. So it could be a bandwidth issue. We'll find out soon enough. But it will be every week for those who may or may not know, who actually just get to watch it. We take our show, and then I go back and I put an entrance and an exit to it and put some little third bars so you see who's on the show if you're not familiar with us by face. As to when we enter into the show, a little third bar slides in saying this is either Tim Peter, or Robert Cole, or Ed St. Ange, or Stuart Butler, or Holly Zoba, which are most of our regular co-hosts. Yes, it is unresponsive. And that is always put back onto the Facebook page. But I do try to make sure that we always keep our Facebook page live, and also Periscope. So if you are a Twitter fan still, that you can watch us live on there as well. And then, of course, it's also on YouTube, which is good because then you can also see it on that channel. And you can comment on any of those, but to really participate in the show, we ask you to follow and subscribe or register with our link, which brings us to the platform that we use for the show, which is Webinar Jam. And for that reason, I think I'm having Holly join me. What?
Hi, Lauren.
Hey, Holly, I did not expect company today.
I know. I told you I was going to come, so I'm here, but not the video.
That's fine. I enjoy your company all the same, but I appreciate I didn't really, honestly, I thank you. I was one of those, well, with the holidays being what it is, I thought, you know what, I'll just dedicate this time to tools and techniques.
Well,
a little less about...
I'm staying only for a little bit, so you can do your thing, but I have a what never to do example.
Oh, it came from our conversation last week. Yes, you had mentioned that you did have one. Please, what not to do?
So many years ago, I was the, director of catering, I think, at the Holiday Inn Arlington at Ballston. And we were going to do a Christmas mailer. Like, it was not emailer, it was back in the old days. And so I think we were having some sort of tasting. I don't know what we were doing. Anyways, it was a Christmas card. And I put, for some reason, one of those little peppermint candies in the envelope. I don't know why, because those are awful candies, but, it was a holiday thing, so whatever. Off we sent, we sent out, 700-piece mailing with these things in it. Well, you need extra postage when you send those. So I sent out a piece of junk mail that people had to pay for.
Excellent.
Postage too.
Nice. Now, I actually, I guess I can add to that story, but much more on a personal level. I had a dear friend of mine that was working with the company I was with at the time, but he was in Canada. His name was Eric Plouffe, and I had gone to Germany, and he had yet to go. And I had picked up a little souvenir piece of the wall. There's the stores over in Berlin.
Yeah.
They sell little pieces of the wall. And so I went over and put it in the mail and sent it to him in Canada, not thinking much of it. And I kept calling, a month later, I never heard from that, he got the present. And so I finally, said, hey, just so I know that you got it, did you get anything in the mail? And he says, Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you, by the way. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So I didn't sound like he was all that happy with pictures. Turns out that when I sent it, because it weighed something, there was a VAT tax associated with it. And because it was marked as fragile, then it must be an expensive thing. So he had to pay $100 to get a little trinket that probably cost me $5 to send him. So I can see why he was not appreciative of it. I gave him $100. Like, dude, please, that was not meant to be $100. Well, actually, it worked out well because $100 Canadian was like $10. So no, it was fine.
Oh, that is hilarious. Yes, well, fortunately, I think the cash that my 700 prospects had to come up with was only about 15 cents. But one of the people I sent it to is a guy with IHG, and he has never forgotten it. He's a regional. I talked to him a month ago, and he brought it up.
Well, I mean, there's always stories like this, I guess, in the sense back when people still used to do blitzes, one of the sales team thought it would be a lot of fun to put Hershey Kisses in little bags to bring to their prospective clients they're trying to reach out to. You know, for anybody who's not familiar with blitzes, you go up to the office buildings and businesses in your market, basically trying to get past the gatekeeper to solicit whoever would need hotel rooms should they ever need them. Well, anyway, it's summer in Florida. So it didn't work well because the box of the little bags that were in the back of the car, in the trunk, once they get a nice toasty, oveny kind of temperature to it, it just didn't leak through the bags. It leaked through the box, leaked into the carpeting of her car. She said to the day she sold the car, it smelled like Hershey Kisses. She says, which in a way probably wasn't a bad thing, but the cleanup afterwards was a mess. She had to hose it down or something. I don't know, but she had to do quite a cleaning effort to it. So, but yeah, it is. Sometimes best intent is not always the best process.
It's very true. I did have a cool thing one time on a blitz. It was for Halloween, and so we dressed up in the hotel I was running was the Lincoln Suites, and so I had somebody dress up as Lincoln, and he ended up going to the White House because the Secret Service was a good account of ours. So he went to the White House to give them, their candy or whatever, and they thought it was so cool that he was dressed as President Lincoln that they took him into the White House. This is obviously pre 9/11, and he went into the Oval Office. He actually got to go into the Oval Office. It was insane.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was very neat.
Well, I had a director of sales in Melbourne, Florida, that he was one of those guys, energetic, very gregarious. You either loved him or you hate him. He was one of those polarizing guys. Like for those who like more passive engagement salespeople, he was not their guy because he was very much ta-da, But by the same token, those who loved the enthusiasm and so forth, we're falling in love with him. Well, we had a delegation coming down from Canada for some pieces of business, and so he dressed up as a Canadian Mountie and went to the airport to pick them up.
I love that.
And, I mean, they loved it, but people were looking at others. They're getting off this plane, and it's like, didn't we just leave Canada? Why is there a Mountie here?
Oh, that's funny.
But again, it goes to sales. I mean, people forget it's an art and a skill. It's not just about filling out forms or prompt call replies and stuff. There's this dance of stuff. And I mean, I know I keep bringing you back to your very cool program, which I love talking about, but you're actually the first in my mind, new approach to sales training that people can take an opportunity to. And I think it's very cool what you're doing because you're doing it in two ways. You're doing it where you're going to the companies themselves and doing the presentation and the training, and you're doing it on live as well. And since you are blessing me with your presence, I think it's only fair you get to tell me about both of them.
Well, actually, I am in week 3 of the web series. It's a 4-week web series. And I figured that it was going to be good on the web because so much of it is obviously, technology, but it's going incredibly well. I'm really pleased with the whole process. I think the class is getting a ton out of it. And I just, it's fascinating. And I keep finding new tools. And so I've even changed it since you delivered it. And so I added one of yours in, Right Relevance is definitely a fantastic. look who's here.
I was going to say, Robert, I gave you a mea culpa. I said you're with family and you're cherishing your moments with them, and you didn't even make a list. And
those guys? Oh, I had to spend all day yesterday with them. Oh, come on. No. Just emerging from his tryptophan-induced coma, Robert Cole.
I was making Holly tell us more about her program because, unlike, for me, I get these toys and I say, oh, I'm going to do this training program. It's online and you can set it all up. And Holly actually goes and does it. She actually built it. So, I was dragging out of her the fact that she's doing it this way because for salespeople that are waiting for something to, circus to ride into town and teach them something, or to go and take a questionable training program that is not really valid by the person that's training it. There's just somebody that thought of an idea and thinks that they could sell it. Holly comes with like a pedigree of training value and credits and history of what she knows and what's capable of being done. So your program actually is legitimately a talent to be given to people, and they can now do it online, which I think is really cool.
Well, and just for the record, before Holly continues, I am completely opposed to corporal punishment in any hospitality training classes. Okay, just that. An ethical stand I take. Holly has some controversial methods, but I understand her pupils learn the content, but and the behaviors are altered. But.
Robert is just still bitter about all the work I made him do pre-work for a retreat that we went to 2 years ago. Get over it. Remember when we had to work through dinner?
What I was late because I was participating in some sort of Facebook movie thing where you've got to post 5 or 10 movie pictures. And
Robert, you were so very entertaining on my movies that I posted that I had to tag you.
So continue. We can talk about that later.
So my point was, I'm in week 3. I have week 4 on Tuesday, our final class, and it's 90 minutes each week, and we go through one phase of the new buyer's path to purchase. And what's important is it's not just the cool toys, which I do love, but it's the strategy that the salesperson needs to take at each phase in the buyer's journey, as you know well, Lauren. So we'll have our 4th and final class, and then the next one starts in December. So, and I have it every month. And what I think is nice about doing this is when companies bring me in to train them, when they get new hires, what do? How do you train the new people? They can just sign them up now for the web series. So I think it's a smart idea, and it's a blast.
Now, I imagine with it being online, you get a certain level of engagement that you don't necessarily get in person, or is the reverse is true? How does it work in comparison to the live sessions?
Well, it's really interesting. Normally, the class that you participated in, I never have a class of 80 people, ever. I usually do classes no larger than 20. And so it's probably about the same amount of engagement. The difference is, and this is very interesting, we do activities together in the class, and these guys have to do it as homework. And so that's the one thing I think that I don't like as much doing the web series, except that everybody then gets the hand-on experience. So right now, this week, they're doing their Spark Adobe videos. And so we'll see how they have to do it for homework, and then they'll present it at the beginning of the next class. So we'll see how they do.
Neat.
Yeah.
Now, do you do a certification or accreditation or completion with the class once it's done?
Yes, they definitely get a certificate.
They get an attaboy.
Yeah.
They get a certificate. Thank you.
Heartfelt congratulations.
Laurel and hearty handshake. No. So question to this is, with you now, I know you've only just recently started the past few months to it. Do you see an evolution of this, that you're going to do a next generation version of this as time goes forward, or you're finding this one, I know, but I mean, do you think there's going to be another iteration?
I am actually. I am doing this for a group in March. I'm doing the next iteration, and so between now and March, I will be developing the next level.
Now, I don't know because
wait, and that hang on, that right there for developing sales skills should be enough for people to sign up for Holly's thing. She has sold a corporation a session in March that hasn't even been developed yet. Now those are sales skills. So.
Now that's
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 when
some
you're selling
sales.
thin air. When you're selling thin air, you know you can sell.
That's right. So,
That's what I always said. When you're selling and opening a hotel that hasn't been built yet, I knew I was a good salesperson because I was selling a giant hole.
oh
All I
yeah.
had.
Yep.
Very true. Now, okay,
Yeah.
so when it comes to doing this, and then did you develop the community thing? Because I haven't taken your online course, obviously, but did you build that like Facebook group thing or that community continuation conversation stuff or anything?
I do. Well, you know what I really have been using is my resource page. On my website, I keep posting additional information there, and then people send me stuff that they've done. And so that's really, I have the LinkedIn closed group, and I haven't really pushed that very much. I've been using really the resource page on my website for past records.
All right. Because I was just curious, is because you're obviously, and I say this just from the personal experience I have with it. When you start using the techniques and the tools that you talk about, it opens up more and more dialogue, more and more what ifs and how abouts, and man, I just did this, or I did a twist on this that I didn't expect when I first got presented it. Because I can see it just because it begins to seed the conversation in a salesperson's mind. It's not just, you're not teaching them rote. You're not saying step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is this. You're saying here is how you fish.
Yeah.
It's a hook and line, and from that they're beginning to realize there's different things that they can personalize about it, and also grow from it. So I can see where them being able to have a community of sharing and stuff like that would be very valuable as it begins to flourish and more people start sharing what they're doing.
Yep, I totally agree. The issue always with that, and we see this everywhere, is people not necessarily wanting to share with competitors who may have taken this program, which is unfortunate. So that's why I've sort of been the filter. What I have enjoyed probably most of all, when people send me the videos that they make, people tell me they get so excited when their SSI score jumps. I've got a couple people surpass me who have taken the class, and so I'm sort of enjoying that challenge.
What?
Yeah, yes.
That's what you want. That is a sign of a good
exactly
of a good class. You want the students to do better than the instructor.
Well,
we've even talked about on the show. That's also a sign of a good manager, is that you want your team to excel past your capabilities. You want them to be better than what you're limiting them to understanding. So yeah, in that sense, perfect.
Yeah, it's just been such a great experience. And I also have to say, I've done some speaking things here in Phoenix, which has been really nice because I haven't had to get on a plane. But I spoke to a cluster of about 35 Hilton salespeople here in Phoenix, and they were from, across the board, and they just went crazy for the content. And then from that, somebody asked me if I would come, and I just went this last Wednesday and spoke to about 80 NACE. Are you familiar with NACE?
Yes and no. I can't tell you what the acronym is, but no, what is it?
National Association of Catering Executives.
Oh.
Okay.
And I, many, many, many years ago, was a catering director, and going back to talk to this group brought back so many memories and so many nightmares. There's not a harder job in the industry except maybe the food and beverage director. I opened my thing by saying, I got to confess, I was a catering director, but I was the worst. I had no idea what food was. Like, everybody would say, what's Béarnaise? And I'm like, oh, it's a cheese sauce. No idea.
Yeah. It's the stuff you put it on chips. You got nachos. Exactly.
I mean, everybody knows about Béarnaise nachos. I mean, come on.
Hollandaise is a French cheese sauce. And I said, I could get away with it back then because there was no Google. But today, and it sort of led into how much smarter our customers are and how much they research before they ever pick up the phone. And so it led perfectly into my thing.
Yep. No, that's good. No, I same thing. It was food and beverages. I loved it when I did it. It was a very satisfying, rewarding being an F&B director because you pull off these impossible events because the best ones are the ones where the guest never knows what happens in the chaos in the back of the house. For things that you've had to challenge to get fixed. But I'm happy I just got the T-shirt for it, but don't plan on going back to doing it. It's just one of those. It's good. Loved it. Love to say that I did it. Enjoyed it when I was doing it. Don't want to do it again.
Yeah. That's the nightmares it brought back was I had this huge fear that a bus was going to show up to the hotel that I had forgotten to tell anyone about. You know what I mean? Like, oopsie daisy, we have to feed and house 48 people.
Oh, I have a great MOD story for that. When my first manager on duty shift and this was literally my first hotel I ever worked in, and it was my first MOD shift, and first time I ever held a handheld radio going, what the hell are you doing with this thing? Because I was the restaurant general manager for all, but they call me food and beverage director. And so little did I know, because our hotel, it was the Holiday Inn by the Intercontinental in Houston, it was the crew quarters for Delta. And so almost a third of the inventory was always Delta rooms. And this was some stuff. Wow. This was about 150, almost 200 rooms was for Delta crew, and because that was their main hub. So we have buses of Delta crew come over. Well, unbeknownst to me, the front desk manager, there's a release time. In the evening times, if the crews don't need certain rooms, you can release them, and then you can sell them to guests that are doing walk-ins, or whether other airports send over distressed air crew or distressed passengers. So what happened was a storm came through. And most of the Delta rooms were still available. And so the front desk manager decided he was going to release them because he got contacted from another air carrier that had a displaced flight, and they needed to put the passengers in overnight for a departure first thing in the morning. Well, what happened was Delta still needed the rooms because all of a sudden all the crew show up, and meanwhile, all the passengers are in the rooms. And so I get this frantic call on the radio, MOD, and I'm like, this is the MOD. It's like, can you come to the lobby? I'm like, what? Okay, sure. I'm in the restaurant, running the restaurant. So I walk into sheer hell. It was at shoulder to shoulder people, buses lined out the front, people screaming at each other, front desk people telling people to back up, back up. It was packed full of crew and very pissed off having waited all day, now not having hotel room passengers. Oh. I had to stand on the front desk to yell at everybody to be quiet, and then I had to figure out how am I going to, because buses were still out there. I called a couple of hotels down to the other airport, Hobby Airport, to get the crews to get down there because it's easier to replace them and let the guests stay in the Delta rooms. We had to eat the price on the Delta rooms because that was the only. And I'm trying to call the GM who. I mean, as much as he was the best GM I ever worked for, at that particular moment was not available.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
But it was my first.
Something was wrong with his beeper,
shift,
right?
My very first MOD shift. That happened to me. So after that, I felt like I was tempered in steel. Nothing can piss me off now.
You're not kidding. Wow.
Yeah, that was a fun first MOD. But oh well. Anyways,
can I do one horror story?
Yeah.
Sure.
Pierre Hotel.
Horror story.
Holiday horror stories.
Pierre, catering horror stories. Pierre Hotel, late 80s, and a very, very strong catering department where the catering director got a fairly healthy percentage of the sales, and basically kind of the ear of the general manager, where basically the regular sales director for the hotel could not book anything that involved like a Friday or Saturday night. Because, I mean, this guy, his compensation, direct personal benefit was based on, selling whatever high-end weddings, receptions, filling the meeting space and making it completely impossible to go do anything with the, with the sales director. So, or selling guest rooms, really. Right. So very confrontational. They had a bus and it came in on a Friday night. It was an event, but it wound up having sleeping rooms of 48 CEOs, right? They'd been down at the New York Stock Exchange. They were coming up for a dinner or something like that. And this actually wound up getting booked through the sales department. And there was something that, the sales guy was getting credit as opposed to the the catering guy, right, for whatever portion. Yeah, so his catering sales, he got a kick from it, but not as much. He made them park down the block, because the policy was kind of like no buses at the Pierre, and you had this, this bus of 48, made them pull down. They were at 61st and 5th. They had to go down to like 64th between Madison and Park or something like that to go, and then walk, to the hotel. So
awesome.
Punish the guests.
Yeah. So just piss off all those people, have them have a lower rating of it, somehow hurt the regular director of sales of the hotel, so he could retain his total iron fisted grip over that, which I don't think is the best strategy, but anyway. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question, Holly. This goes to your training program and whether or not if there's a way to incorporate some of this discussion, because sales represents potentially a volume relationship. I mean, basically, if you're looking at group and so forth. What is there a way to begin to create a conversation with not just the representative of that group, but the group itself? Do you feel that would be productive to get positive engagement comments? Going to something that Robert just mentioned, it's like you just now irritated 300 people, 200 people for no reason. And back in the day, maybe that was less impact because they didn't have it. That was probably back when there was still horse buggies on the road and the buses were drawn by carts and stuff. I mean, I'm guessing.
Delta was still carrying mostly mail as an airline, weren't they?
By the way, the idea is that there's some conversations out there now that you put good or bad as do you want to give us a compliment or do you want us to tell us of a problem? And I have some resistance as to including that into an open discussion of review where you're actually giving them a button that says, please click here to let us know if there's something that we need to fix. I can see value in it, but I also see potential issues with that because you might catch them in a different mood. But how do you think we could engage with the group aspect to, get 100 positive comments on one big shotgun? Boom, here's 100 people that because we engaged them in a way XYZ, they felt compelled to share with us their positive experience.
So I do actually cover that in class. In the version that you did, we didn't because it was an abbreviated class. But the last two phases of the customer experience, you may remember, is the experience, so when they're on site, and then the share, which is when they leave. And so we talk about strategies of exactly that. I mean, what you want, one of the things we talk about is while they're on property in their group, you're taking photos of them and you send them a thank you Spark Adobe video. You send it to your contact person who inevitably shares it with everybody, or you post it on your Facebook page, tag your content manager or your contact, and they share it with their social network or on LinkedIn, however you want to do it. So we actually always do a brainstorming session about how at your property you can get people to share, turn them into advocates, and the ever important get referrals. I mean, that's a big chunk of what we do in that last section because that's incredible. I mean,
and for catering events, you start, especially when you start getting into weddings and things like that, that is just such an incredible opportunity for a revenue stream. I mean, my daughter's wedding. My daughter is still posting about her wedding with the venue. The venue's still getting tagged, right? Yep. And then her photographer is still getting tagged, and her friends are now booking that venue, right? I mean, and this is unbelievable. And there's no way that venue could have ever possibly reached those people, right? I shouldn't say no way. It's going to be outrageously expensive, right? And probably very, very high risk and not a profitable promotional venture.
We talk about or have fun of it at the time. Smurf business is a very handheld, personable business, and where corporate travel, to be really frank, isn't usually a strong referral business because most people in the corporate negotiation space feel that can be favoritism or preferential treatments because of relationships for a variety of reasons they may not know, where Smurf business, referral and social engagement and feelings associated with the attentiveness or the quality of the relationship of the venue is a real big motivator. Like, these people really cared about my wedding. These people really cared about my fraternal order get together, my, whatever it is. And that goes a long way from rather than price and location, sometimes it's about preference of what you think the experience is going to be by doing business with them. So yeah, huge point.
Too bad Ed's not on the show because he really has been focusing on the group market in his world too with great success. So maybe we should bring this up with Ed next week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want that you want an advocacy program to make it very easy for people who are who first have no idea what you are or what you do, who suddenly become fans because of the experience, to turn them into advocates. If you can get them on that pathway, that's, and you really only have, each event is one shot to do that with X, potentially tens, if not hundreds, or thousands of people, depending on the venue, right?
So two innocent questions, and they're really legitimate questions. You know that, and depending upon places that you travel, bathrooms and places have these big smiley face buttons.
Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. I liked it. I'm neutral about it, or I didn't like it. One question about it. Second is, do you think, Holly, there's a value in a custom survey for the group itself, where you go into Google Forms and you make a custom survey that is particular to the event program or their event engagement, whether it be food or whatever it is, that you share with the your contact to share with the group, of saying, it's a link to saying, hey, we would love your feedback on specifics. Like, did you like the chicken at last night's dinner? Did you like, the breakout from yesterday afternoon, whatever? Do you think there's value to either of those in conversation on this?
Or simple. What did you like best? What could we have done better? Yeah. Do net promoter score. Would you invite us to a friend? I mean, that's kind of the classic, three question survey, right?
Yeah. Well, that survey software that I bought on AppSumo, I can't remember the name of it though. What I love about, what is it?
It begins with an F. I think it's free blah 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 blah. It begins with an F.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, Feedlier.
Feedlier. That's it.
Feedlier. Okay.
I think so. I'll look it up.
Feedlier.
The beauty of that software is that when you fill out your survey, and you can, make it incredibly simple, but at the end it says, like the other ones, will you share, if you score a certain amount, it offers you the opportunity to write a testimonial and post it on the webpage, post it on social channels. I love that component to it because that's exactly what you should be doing. And I think groups are not doing that.
Right. No. I think one thing that I also appreciate about doing the program with you, Holly, was that the value proposition of what you're talking about isn't just about a catch and capture business and then engage with them while you're with them and then what to do afterwards is something else. You actually bring it full circle where it's like, and once this is done, this is how you continue the dialogue in the future. This is something that doesn't end. You've started a wheel in motion relationship, not a thanks, hey, appreciate the business, hope you come back sometime, but you show ways to actually keep that engagement.
It was so funny because on the web series last week, I have a woman who is actually a destination consultant. So CVBs hire her, and she's in the class. And this dawned on her last week. She said, what's really smart about this program is you're doing stuff up here in the funnel, but it's going to impact down there, and then they're going to do it for you. And I'm like, yeah, it's really not a funnel. It's actually a circle, but it's easier to represent it as a funnel. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I feel like the sales relationship goes on, and that's how it grows. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what makes folks successful. So it's a good. I have stumbled onto a good program.
I think you've created a good program, wasn't it? I mean, this was the aggregation of many years of you doing what you have done and your experience in the industry as well, being combined with, okay, now that I have tools and knowledge of being able to integrate all this together, putting it together, because for the longest time, it has been that the sales team has been kind of like the errant child in the family. It's all about marketing. It's all about revenue management. Salespeople, people can Google all the information that they want. They don't need to dialogue with us because by the time they walk into the door, and you even address this in the context of your training, is that they're much more informed. They got the details down. They know your square footage and they know what your room looks like in a variety of situations, and they know things that people have complained about and things that people have said good about. they know a lot more walking on the door rather than starry eyes saying, "Oh wow, look at how pretty the lobby is. I never knew it was here." So
Or
you're taking that forward though.
they could buy Bernays as a cheese sauce.
Hey, everybody knows that Bernays nachos is great. Okay, it's a known thing. You just have to be in the right market to know that. That's all.
Oh,
But no, it is in that sense. It is bringing it is, to me, it's bringing the sales team up to speed with the attention that the other disciplines have been getting, and that is, and the integration question doesn't go away. It's actually more important than ever because some of our conversations has been that digital marketing can augment what sales' efforts are trying to be done. Sales is about the engagement, but marketing can help funnel attention more so. So sales can use that help. Everybody management sales.
Yeah, one of my goals in this class really is to get salespeople to understand digital marketing better and appreciate them more and direct them more. I mean, right now there is such a split between the two. And I say in the class, nobody knows your customers better than you do as salespeople, but you keep it to yourself. You don't share it with your marketing, with your digital marketing folks. And so Mike Wiley, I was happy. I sent him, when we did the Interstate training, I collected 300 buyer personas from salespeople. So 300 buyer personas, 300 ideal customers that salespeople had done some in-depth thinking about. And so I rolled that report up and sent it over to Mike Wiley, who's the head of e-commerce for Interstate, because I think that is information gold. I mean, this is your front line. This is who they think their customers are, and what those customers like about their property, what their pain points are. I just think it's fantastic information as long as you just share it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, also too, and this goes back to kind of old school mentality, is nothing is just a free. It's not a flip of a switch or a turn of a light.
Right.
You have to do research. You have to take your resources and aggregate them with a purpose in mind. Like when you talk about personas and so forth, some people, and I still get asked this, is like, well, how do you do that? And then even in the classes that we were having back in New Orleans, people were trying to create their idyllic persona.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, who's coming in your door that you think we can replicate the opportunity with, and cultivating that idea rather than making this, they work for IBM and they're a vice president. It's like, no. What business types and what sources of business, break it down into a more usable marketing component. But to that end, I mean, with marketing and driving more business, there's a tool, and I think I pointed this out to you before, Albacross, because when you're talking about this, if you plug it into the website, and I did this for HSMAI when we were doing the Rocket promotions, it doesn't track individual. Well, actually, that's not even true to say either. It tracks the companies that touch your website.
Yeah, right. I bought it.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? I mean, I did that, and what I did was I did the retargeting program where I isolated all the companies that were in the geographic areas that I was interested in, at that time, Boston and Toronto, and then I took that cluster of companies and then identified everybody that worked for those companies that they would allow me to do, and then I created a retargeting campaign for those two markets for them.
Yeah, smart.
I mean, it's crazy the targeting that some of these tools out there, and that's a pure sales thing. That's not a transient business thing. I mean,
right.
It can be in some variations, but I mean, for the most part, it's really about what companies are touching your site for whatever reason you're not certain. How do you re-engage them? How do you connect to them?
Right.
So.
Yeah, and that's why it's so critical that the two departments work hand in hand. And I really do believe one of the outcomes of this class, in fact, the good companies have their marketing people join the class. And so they get to hear it firsthand, which I think is really valuable. Interstate did that. Greystone did that.
Hey, by the way, just on the AppSumo thing with their Black Friday thing, Filmora is in there for $49. If you haven't got it, get it. I use that all the time.
He's going to cost me a fortune, Robert, by the time we're done.
It's cool tools.
Lauren's Black Friday shopping tips on AppSumo.
Really?
No, Filmora is what I use all for my video editing. It's fast. They have great plugins and template overlays that are just crazy good for lower thirds and insertions and so forth. It's really easy. I stopped using Final Cut Pro because Final Cut Pro is just it's amazing, but I'm not a professional videographer. And it has way too many tools and way too many functionalities, and it's as good as Well, Camtastic too. Yeah, I have that one, but I've really gotten over to the Filmora just because I get all their plugins now, all their template stuff.
Yeah,
and it has a lot of neat artistic. I don't know. It's just my favorite.
I've used
have you told
Camtasia
everybody about
stuff.
AppSumo?
They do some interesting stuff.
Yeah. What'd you say, Holly? I'm sorry.
Have you talked about AppSumo on the show before?
It pops in every once in a while, but we should talk about AppSumo because it's like my addiction. I have to go to AppSumo therapy classes. Like
that's right. Up there was Starbucks and and Amazon, right?
It's been one day since I bought something from AppSumo. Let's put it this way: when I go to AppSumo, the list is shorter for what I didn't buy than what I do buy.
Oh my gosh!
I stack them. I even stack them because it opens up. Now you can stack some of the programs. I mean, literally, there's nothing in recent memory that I haven't bought from them except for their project management platform because I use Teamwork and I really love Teamwork and I don't mind paying the money per month for Teamwork compared to the one that they had on there. But it's just great programs, great fun stuff. I have pretty much everything they have.
So with AppSumo.com, and you should put your link up because you can get referrals.
That's right.
Yeah, do your referral link. Don't just put. So click on Lauren's link. You should get some money back. And they offer, and in many cases, sort of a startup. Startup companies come out there. That was Feedlier. And you get it for $49 as opposed to an annual, subscription.
Yeah.
And you know how bad it's gotten? I actually bought the pro version of AppSumo, so I get 10% off on each one. It does.
That's a good deal.
But that's okay. Well, that's good.
It was $99, and I got King Sumo. Have you ever played with King Sumo?
No.
Oh, it's so fun. We did this for one of the hotels. You get to go over and make contests and giveaways. Actually, I had to do it for HSMAI because we were giving away a certification for registration. That if you registered, I had to do the non-purchase component for the contest. Uh-huh. So I put in King Sumo. If you register, you can register to win a free certification of choice, whether it be revenue management or digital. Of course, you have to qualify to take the certification program, on the credits and the point system. But the idea was you didn't have to pay for it. You could choose which one you want to try to go for. But King Sumo, dirt easy. I mean, boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, you can do social shares with it. It's kind of like an affordable, quick way of getting out contests.
Oh,
it's kind of neat. Yeah, it's kind of neat.
And it covers all the rules and compliance, so you don't go to prison.
All that.
That's great.
It's GDPR compliant, and everything else, and it does nice for that. So it's kind of a fun thing. And then tools. That was a little bit of what I was going to do today, Robert, because I know that I get you the mea culpa about saying, hey, it's holiday, so we're not going to go through a list. I was going to do through the techniques and the tools kind of stuff because I think with the way it goes, I just downloaded a list from somebody that was trying to just pitch what they do. And it's disappointing because the stuff that they're pointing out is, I know, not the good stuff, and I'm not because it's I'm an AppSumoholic. It's like, no, there's actually some really good tools out there that people should know about that do some cool stuff. Like when talking about researching your competitors and what have you, Awario, AWRIO, is great for seeing what is being said about you. I mean, you monitor yourself, but you also monitor your competitors so you can see what their engagement is or what's being engaged with them on all the social platforms, all the news feeds, on websites. Anything that comes up that you're wanting to track, it actually puts it into a single dashboard for you to look at. Mm-hmm. And plus, it starts tracking influencers, which I can't. If you're talking about the most recent silver bullet stuff, and micro-influencers is probably the closest thing to it that we have anymore. Because if you really channel your opportunity of communication with influencers that represent audiences that you're looking to pursue, back to your idea, Holly, about personas, where you're looking at trying to engage people that your product is more relevant to. If you do that, and then you look for micro-influencers in those spaces, those demographic spaces, and coordinate with them their engagement, massively productive because you're really amplifying your messaging without necessarily having to pay for every engagement. And Awario is a neat tool for identifying some of those beyond some of the influencer platforms that you can go and actually solicit influencers based on your criteria that you post on the website. There's websites that allow you to say, hey, I'm looking for people that demographically represent this, that these are soft adventure interests or these are cultural of interest, and you identify what you're looking for and what market you're looking for them, and people respond back to you, and you begin an open bid process. Like, all right, so this is what I want. This is what I'm willing to pay. This is what you want to charge. That's that world. So
Did you get 4 screens on AppSumo?
4 screens. What does it do? Because it sounds
Oh,
familiar.
you're so
But
funny. Your quiz that I
oh
love.
yeah. The 4s. Yeah, I stacked that one too. Yeah, well, I love that one. I think it's a lot of fun. I've only done the one contest survey ranking thing for HSMEI. I haven't played with it beyond that yet.
So I bought the subscription because I didn't get it on AppSumo. But I love it, and it's also gotten me really into Zapier. So I get the email and information from from 4Screens, which is it allows you to put out a really cool quiz/survey. It's not a boring. It's just one of the most robust. It's like the one that I created was, what's your selling style? And so I asked you, which kind of movies do you like to go to, and that sort of stuff. And in the end, it's been strangely accurate in terms of, you're a relationship seller, you're a socializer, you're a, that sort of thing. But then you collect the people's emails. And so then I set up Zapier to grab that information and dump it into Zoho, which is the CRM software that I use. And then I generate an automatic series of emails. I began a lead nurturing campaign through Zoho, and it's been fabulous. I love that app. I'm getting ready to do another one this week.
It reminds me of if Typeform merged with WooCommerce, because WooCommerce has some of the functionalities that the 4Screens and the 4Screens is the technically they sold it under a different name. That's why it was weird, because my login says it has to be 4Screens. If I in AppSumo when I stacked it, it allowed me to put in like Poll Everywhere, or what's the one that you use? The one that is
Mentimeter.
Mentimeter. Yeah, this one does the same thing, but now it's free in that platform. So you get to go over and use it in your presentations as well. You can get the engagement for all that stuff too. That's why I stacked it. But yeah, it's like Typeform. It's got a nice clean look like Typeform, and it is, to your point, much more visually engaging than the WooCommerce stuff, which is like a bit of a box and blank screen in the back and stuff. So
it gives you really good analytics. I mean, simple analytics, but tells you how many people started. And so I kept tweaking how much information I was asking for to see if it would impact my finish rate. It was really, I loved it.
Again, yeah, it is. It's I'm going to put all these links because I had a list of links I was going to put it to the show notes, so I'll make sure that we have them in the show notes as well. But I mean,
I was going to start typing them and putting them all links to all these as well. So.
Yeah, I'll have to get you a link to the 4Screen one out of the list.
Do you guys use Lusha?
Which one?
Lusha.
Lusha?
Lusha. Lusha.
Lusha. Nope.
It's a little. I use the Chrome extension, so when I'm in LinkedIn, this little thing pops up with the person's email address and phone number if it's can be found anywhere.
Oh, I use Clear. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
I use Clear.
Does it say Clear?
Yeah. There are a whole bunch. of plugins. I use like 4 of them. Yeah.
Really? That's
I use. Do you guys use LinkedIn Sales Navigator?
No.
Yeah.
Do you?
Well, and I use one that's gotten kind of blacklisted called Leonard.
Oh.
I turn it on every once in a while. It has its issues that Google doesn't like it, Chrome doesn't like it, LinkedIn doesn't like it because it'll pull everybody's data out. And
is that GDPR compliant, Lauren? As you were saying,
I'm thinking it might not be exactly.
Maybe not.
Okay. So Robert, maybe not. How do you use Sales Navigator as an independent, or do you use it through Focusrite?
No, I don't use it for either. I use it actually with mostly now for one particular client, where we're out somewhat prospecting on a B2B basis for looking either at targeted companies or at individuals based on various specific personas that we're trying to engage with to try this product. So
if you get the chance,
it works pretty well. Now I integrate it with HubSpot, right? So I've got a HubSpot thing, so I'm using that basically for my CRM, and I haven't like totally gone complete HubSpot, but I use it for a lot of the integration and sales tracking with LinkedIn. And actually, HubSpot and LinkedIn had they actually made a little change, so you now have to get a higher grade HubSpot subscription. Well, actually, I think, well, I'm not sure. It was probably LinkedIn who changed it, and then HubSpot had to react to it. So
Yes.
I'm not using the full blown thing because it's starting to get kind of expensive, and the ROI on this particular project isn't great, but pretty good
Ever
tools.
since Microsoft bought LinkedIn, everything's so much more expensive. I'm still
Yeah.
mad at them still for taking back all their API stuff. I mean, changing
Oh
it.
yeah. And that's the only way. That's with Sales Navigator. You can start really drilling into who are at what companies. All the advanced search stuff that used to be free in LinkedIn, you can get to, right? So you can really start looking at that. And then I use a variety of. I mean, there are a lot of different Chrome plugins. Some of them plug into LinkedIn, although again, their API is quite limited. So yeah, basically most of these tools are basically just scrapers, right? They scrape out the LinkedIn profile. Some of them have been shut down periodically, so I decided not to use those. But none. I have not found one that is really, really good, right? So there are hit and misses on a variety of them. So
yeah, Lusha is one of the best though. I mean, I have found probably 75% they come up with good
that's
data.
good.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's 100%.
Well, that goes find that lead. Find that lead. It's a Chrome plugin that if you go to a corporate website and you click on it, it'll pull out any email associated with that company.
Yeah.
Bought it.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of people at some of these companies.
It is. They go crazy. The other one is I don't know from a small business perspective. Salesflare is freaking awesome. It'll create your own funnel of you assign what it is in what engagement. It keeps track of all the conversations you designate to whoever it is that's prospective client or something. It keeps track of all of the engagements and so forth. You can assign values to it.
I have that all in Zoho. I have to tell you, I am a huge Zoho fan. We used Salesforce for many years at Signature, and I love Zoho. I can't
A lot
believe
easier.
Intentionality.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's a lot easier.
Oh, it's a lot easier, but I mean, it's just it just is so intuitive. I think it's brilliant.
Now, I did know of one program in AppSumo that I thought of you on, which I didn't know whether, because you are hardcore coding person now, but Yotako allows you to do freehand drawing and it'll build the code for you.
Really?
Yeah. You can actually do freehand, like I want to put a square here, I want to put a line here, and it actually writes the code for you.
Oh, that might be worthwhile just because it's a pain. Well, I mean, I have other programs that sort of do that for me, but
right. It's still in there, I think. I think Yotako is still in there in AppSumo if you go take a peek at it. It's kind of neat. I picked it up because a lot of these things I pick up because I think from client usability point of view, like I don't need it right now, but having a lifetime subscription, which for those who may not be familiar with AppSumo, there's the software that's trying to get critical mass and it's trying to get volume subscriptions and so forth. So AppSumo introduces the software in its own restricted relationship. It's not always exactly matching the pricing models associated with the software in general, but it tries to throw in enough value propositions, and it does a lifetime value. So for usually $49, you always will have access to this platform. Now, I've on many occasions used the software and end up going well past its limitations I originally bought it for because I really like the software, which is what they're hoping, and I end up buying up in the subscription. One of those is Whatagraph. Whatagraph is a phenomenal visual reporting tool. It is. And you can make it it's really grown up, which is why I like supporting these things like AppSumo, because once it had enough people that it got money for, it started adding more functionalities.
Yeah.
And so Whatagraph, I mean, you can make it report so many cool things in a way that, honestly, general managers, ownership groups, corporate reps, they like the simplicity of the graphic interface. It's not just a spreadsheet. It's not just spaghetti graphs. It's literally up and down arrows and numeric numbers and nice visualizations to it. And I use that for every client now. I set up the configurations as soon as I bring a new client, so they get a monthly report that's auto-generated. I don't even have to go mess with it. Once I set it up, that email goes out to them every whatever designated time I give them, and it's really helpful.
Whatagraph?
Whatagraph. It's a really, really neat program.
I love QueryBot. I put it on my website.
Isn't it awesome? I love QueryBot too. I think it's great. I love the customization.
You guys remind me of, I think, maybe 5th grade, where kids came back on like January 3rd and were like, "Did you get the new? Oh yeah, that's so cool."
You're just jealous you're not part of the QueryBot club.
I know. Man, I am missing.
QueryBot is great because you can customize it per page. You don't have to, like with messenger bots, you only can do one bot at a time. QueryBot, you can literally have a different engagement for every page on your website.
It's amazing. And Robert, you have so much good content on your website that it just makes it easier for people to find it.
Good.
By chatting with
Good
your
point.
bot.
I am actually in the process. I finally buckled down and am redeveloping my website, although I am still waiting for WordPress to go to full Gutenberg probably to launch it. So we'll see.
I don't love Gutenberg.
You what?
I don't love Gutenberg.
No, it's pretty controversial. I think once people get into it, people will like it. I mean, those blocks are pretty powerful. You can do some pretty interesting stuff.
But there's already templates out there that have been acting like this for a while now.
Oh, I know, but these will be optimized.
A terrible example of that. I have that in mind, but I have such a bunch of clutter on it. My problem is, you can imagine how addicted I am with AppSumo. You can imagine how many plugins I have on my website.
Yeah,
Gosh.
and that's really slows you down. Yeah,
it crushes
hugely.
It crushes.
Right? Yeah.
You know, and so I gotta make decisions of, do I really want that budget calculator still? Because if not, then I need to shut that plugin that creates it off. Do I really need a map rendering software for MetaSearch? You know, if not, shut the plugin off. You know,
well,
and that's where
and run through Google's mobile analytics and all those sorts of things, and you'll see, oh, my site isn't doing so well, and you're looking and go, oh, all my stuff is optimized, but all the JavaScript and all this other crap coming from these plugins is not, and that's dragging down all these scores.
Yeah, I have problems with the fact
I mean, for tools, I don't know if you guys use Ghostery, but Ghostery basically shows all the different tags, right, and all the different links and cookies that are being dropped, and a lot of these plugins are just pigs on that, right? I mean, it's just all sorts of crap.
I use Ghostery. Every presentation I did with HSMA's Rocket program was I would take the hotel we're staying at, because usually somebody was attending in the sessions there, and I would pull it because, and especially the brand ones, they're just terrible. 43, 55 different associated pulling tracking data and so forth. And I've showed people in the room, it's like, did you know that there's this much data being pulled off of your site from all these people? And I bet you don't, if you can't identify half of them, you're lucky. And you're probably not getting half of that data from them anyway.
Right.
This data you need to be asking for. So
and you go, you know what their product is? You.
Exactly.
Literally, you are their product. But no, the plugins, and I think people may or may not realize the value proposition of Chrome plugins for Chrome. Now, that's not to say Firefox doesn't have theirs and Safari doesn't have theirs. I think the most prohibitive plugins right now is Microsoft, though. I think that they have the least amount of variations to their platform right now. Am I right with that, Robert? Because I remember I haven't used. I mean, I'm Apple, so I don't even mess with Explorer near as what, and it's not called Explorer anymore.
Edge. Yeah, no, everything's Chrome. Firefox is pretty good. Yeah, Firefox has done some really good stuff. But Chrome and the Google thing, it's free. It does the stuff for you. It's there. It's easy, and and people will. I mean, look at you should walk around the screen, have everybody, like when you do one of these presentations, have everybody open their browser, right, and go in and say, oh, how many extensions do you have? Let's count them, shall we? In Chrome, and the numbers are daunting. I mean, it's like, wow, you've got like 3/4 of an inch of a query bar, and the rest is these extensions on there.
Now, I do make people in the Rocket program, and I do this for a purpose with them, because I play a 6-minute video on China and what they're doing with their social rankings and so forth. But before I make them do that, I make everybody take their phone out and unlock it and then hand it to the person next to them.
Oh, well,
It is
That's
fun to see.
That's a lot of people asking for refunds immediately.
Yeah.
So,
They're like, what? You know, and it's like, yeah, no, pay attention to the video. And then I make them hand it back, obviously, afterwards. I did try one time making it open up their photos. Yeah, people are like, no, not going to do it.
nah. Yeah.
But it made the point about how we've become so ingrained with our phone as being a personal extension of ourselves, because obviously you wouldn't want people to see what you took pictures of or any, you know, you can go through the access that the phone gives you if it's unlocked. So it was the point that was.
But you get people like, you know, a Stuart Butler or something, and, you know, just even seeing the, you know, just the wallpaper on his site being, you know, the Kim Kardashian shrine is just, I don't know. You know, it's Stuart's sensitive about stuff like that.
Oh, come on. Everybody knows Stuart is full of Star Wars crap.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. He is a Star Wars aficionado, no doubt about it. But as all said and done, it's like the Chrome extensions are great for quick tool usages of it, but then there's a lot of great in-depth tool stuff that, and again, it goes back to research and discovery that a lot of, whether it be salespeople, marketing people, revenue management people, even operations people becoming aware of their market, there's a lot of functional tools out there that are starting at free and are affordable just beyond that. Not everything has to be super expensive. To do a lot of this stuff. I mean,
yes. One point though, if you're working in a company with a hotel and things like that, right, where it's an organization and you start doing some of these things and they start going into kind of production, you know, production mode is just like a little tool you're using personally, but it starts being used by the enterprise. You want to make sure that those are, you know, kind of properly done and implemented and used, you know, used appropriately, and you don't want it to die and all of a sudden, you know, a lot of these things are and a lot of people don't, they look at, can I get my data out, right? You know, if this thing is going to go down, or does it just go poof, right, and get locks up and never get, that's the thing with a lot of WordPress plugins, right? They work great and then all of a sudden they stop and you can't do anything, you can't get your data, and all of a sudden your website's kind of screwed up, right?
There has to be a good distinction. I think Ed, if he was here, and even Stuart would say the same things, is that the distinction I'm making is research versus implementations. I mean, if you're in control of your website, then that's an implementation decision. If you have even access to your website, it's an implementation. This is research tools, competitive sets, in-market competition, research for discoverabilities of clients. There's just this host of tools. Holly, do you use G Suite for your email stuff? What do you have your email based on?
I do not use G. I do use G Suite, yeah.
Okay, because I mean, there's like, for those who do use G Suite or Google Mail for a lot of their dialogue, there's a great plugin that you can do called Boomerang. Boomerang, you can ask for a receipt. You can also say, remind me 2 days or X number of days, or pick a date, days, or an hour from now, send this back to me so that I don't lose track of it. You know,
actually, Microsoft and Outlook is now doing that automatically. Actually, they're doing that, and I think Google may be doing it in Inbox. I'm not exactly sure which ones are doing it, although Inbox is going to die, which is a very sad thing for the mobile, Google mobile.
The idea is that there's a way to keep yourself organized with some of these tools. I use another one I got off of AppSumo called Bookify, which allows me to put a link in my signature line that they can actually click and go to my calendar and pick a time. I have a time designated out saying 15, 30, 60, and then whatever you pick from that based on the hours I'm allowing, you know, hours of business, they can pick, and it compares against what I have available, not available. There's another one I use called Maven, when you're doing that ping pong back and forth of when are you available? I don't know, when are you available?
Yeah.
You know, for more than one person, where I can just say, go to my signature line and pick a time that works for you. If you're doing with 2 or 3 people, I can go over and say, okay, this time on these dates are available, and throw it out, and it gets shared with everybody. And they can choose a time that, and we can, it's like Doodly. Doodly does the same thing in that sense. But at least with Maven, which is free, all these ones, I mean, are free to start.
You're talking about Doodle, not Doodly. Doodly's the other
Doodle. Yeah, you're right. Doodle. Doodly is that cool little animation program, which keeps getting cooler, by the way.
I know, and you know he's from Dublin, Ohio. So
really?
Yeah. I follow. He has a Facebook page, and he is fascinating. He writes what he does every day on his Facebook page in terms of development for his. He has 3 different companies. You should definitely follow him, Brad.
I should, yeah.
Brad something. I'll send you the link. I don't remember his last name, but yeah, Dublin, Ohio. It sort of cracks me up. I'm pretty sure we were neighbors when I lived there, but he is making a lot of advancements, and he's introducing 2 other similar software programs. So we'll see.
Well,
but I do feel like, if Ed is watching the show, I can't believe he hasn't jumped on, because he would be having a fit that we're talking about all these shiny new objects, which we are aware. Our caveat is, and the difference for you, Lauren, is you have a whole bunch of clients that you can learn these tools for. It's your job, and then recommend the tool that works for the client. A regular person can't possibly keep up with all these tools and run their business. And so that's why it's important to have somebody like you who's sharing this. That's certainly, I am a one-woman show in everything that I do. And I have to have a strategy before I use an app. Before I invest any time, there's got to be an outcome that
Right.
is worthwhile. And so that's
for sure. No, I get the joy of playing with the tools in the sense that I can grab it thinking I have a future use for it, or just to be aware of it. I need to find it out again. And there's some tools that I use a lot of, and there's others that I use less of. There's one that I just gave to my wife because it automates a lot of the social postings that she was having a time consumption issue for. She's gotten so busy with her work that she just doesn't have time to keep up with some of her social stuff. And Social Bee, which is also an absolute one that I had sitting parked in the back parking lot. Once you start deciding what topic of conversation you want to pull and what platforms you want to use, and you can combine them with your platform accesses and so forth, it'll make these things post up. And then you just need to look, or if you don't look, you can get pre-authorization if you feel like it finally works out if it does well, and it'll just start doing those things for you and then notify you in engagements. So it kind of helps take some of the time slots away where it can, and it keeps track of all the stuff that's worthy of conversation based on the topics that you've assigned to it. And then I use another one for all my clients on social, because the owners and the GMs like to see what gets posted socially. It's called Plannable, where you plug in your social platforms to it and you create an authorization tier. Hootsuite does the same thing. It's not as if this is reinvent new stuff. It's a nice, cleaner way of doing it, because what it also does, it puts all of the posts into a calendar format, so you can see by day. And it's not, again, they're not the first people to do this. Sprout did this, and I forget the other platform, drawing a blank. But anyway, the other platforms have done this similar engagement. But what nice is that the GM, if he wants to see what's going to get posted, he can review it and comment on it before he would hit authorize for it to go out as scheduled.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a neat control, function for it. And at least it's one place that ownership, general manager, producer of the content, all can go in the same one space to see it. So there's, like I said, there's lots of cool tools. And to echo the ghost of Edward Past, shiny objects are good after you get your basics done. This is not stuff you
absolutely
mess with if you can't get your content on your website correct, or your organic program, or your paid programs. This is post that stuff.
Boy, and anything that's posting automatically, you really, really have to debug before, for every different kind of condition, because if it starts sending out crap, or such and such, because again, a lot of these programs, their APIs may change. You might wind up with a blank field, and you guys probably get them every once in a while. It's like, some sort of spammy email and maybe from a good company where it just says, dear name in a bracket or something like that, and you just go, come on, guys.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You kind of understand why. Yes, those things can happen, but you look at come on, you should be better.
But that goes even for Google's ad programs. You start getting into their AI development, and if you don't watch what it's posting, it can start posting some stuff that, case in point, I had one client that, and this was our fault for having allowed it to happen, is they stopped their best rate guarantee at the level that they were offering for. They were giving a certain redemption of, find it better and you get this. It got changed, but the AI didn't change it, and it was still pumping out an ad with the old information on it. And it's like, no, because it didn't update itself as to what the new information that was for the best rate guarantee kind of thing is. So yeah, to that point, you don't let anything speak for you until you're really comfortable that it's speaking for you the way you want it to be said. So yeah.
So
I think
I've got one question going back to the social selling index for Holly.
Mhm.
So a fast question. So do you find what your students' social selling index is, starting off, and then
I do. It's one of the measurement tools that we use. Uh, and when I do speaking engagements, I actually use Mentimeter and get everyone to post their social selling index score. And
okay,
I do it as a word cloud. And so, 36 is the biggest number typically.
36,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah,
Because
because
it's
I looked up the thing here, and I was surprised it was so low. I hadn't really looked at the number for the leisure travel and tourism industry. The average SSI is 21,
Yep.
which is really pretty poor. And then
Yeah.
actually the people in my network, interestingly enough, it's 48, which is pretty good. So good for them.
Yeah, my network's definitely higher also. I think my network's at about 46.
Yeah.
And then, the hospitality industry, that's what, it always makes salespeople typically are a little bit higher. So it
Yeah.
sort of makes me feel good. But then, what's yours?
You want to know mine?
Sure.
So 77.
Very good.
Yeah, which is pretty good, I think.
Lauren,
And I don't work on it. I'm scored lowest on Engage with Insights because I don't engage on LinkedIn as much as I probably should, right? But the ones I'm proud of is, like, I'm highest on build relationships, and then it's second is finding the right people, and then third is establishing professional brand and engaging with insights. And so I kind of look at it that way as, hey, you know what? If I focus on this, I can really move this, right? Because the engaging with insights is something that's definitely actionable. Establishing your professional brand, you can do more on that. But finding the right people, yeah, you can find them. There are tools, but building those relationships is hard to do. That's normally the tough one. So yeah, so that's good. So
I feel better then. You
what?
beat me on that. I'm 71 out of 100 for a social index, but I'm 25 out of 25 on building relationships.
Wow. Yeah. See, I'm like 20, 21 points. So you must really suck in some category, Lauren.
I'm sure finding the right people is my lowest at 11.95. Yeah.
Lauren has great relationships with the wrong people.
That's right. And I'm proud of it. I got friends in those places. Yeah, actually, I think mine went.
It's a measurement tool, though. We definitely say, look at your starting SSI and, figure out a goal and figure out how you're going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good. I think I think with that, did that start under LinkedIn? Was that there under LinkedIn, or was that a Microsoft thing that they added in?
I
don't
think
know.
it was a LinkedIn thing because I have been touting We use it in our class always as in every class that you do, you always want to do a reality trip. So when you're talking to people about what they should be doing, they're generally nodding their head saying, yeah, I do that. And back at Signature, when we did the reservations training, we always talk about how a call should go, and they're all nodding their heads, yeah. And then we play a recorded call from that hotel. And I lived through the experience when I was a Signature customer a million years ago, and you never forget it. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe that's how we sound. And so the SSI score I've been using for a while as the reality trip. So everybody's like, yeah, I think I'm pretty good on LinkedIn. Well, let's go look at your SSI score. Oh.
No!
All right, it opens their mind a little bit more to the whole learning process.
Well, yeah, it's nice to have benchmarks, right? And you go, well, yeah, it's not just something that you worked up in your class of people who've taken your course or something like that. So you have very small universe. You go, yeah, here's everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing. So,
you against the world.
Yeah, you got millions of people and broken down by your industry and stuff. Hey, there's an area for improvement. And even if folks are in the top 1%, I mean, there's always area for improvement. So
absolutely,
that's great.
Well, it also is, it's an interesting validator because, I mean, and I'm happy that I have a score worthy enough to be able to say, oh yeah, I'm happy with it in some level of it. Obviously can be improved, but it's also not something that I'm actively, I mean, going through what you had me go through, Holly, and looking at it is like, there's some stuff that, yeah, I touched it and did some of those things, but I haven't updated it in a while. I haven't changed some of it in a while, and it reminds you that's a key component to this, because my engagement on LinkedIn, I'm constantly in conversations with people, and I've really been chasing down, unlike Facebook, which I'll friend anybody, LinkedIn, I'm very specific about who I communicate with or how I engage. It has to be industry related. It has to be business related, if I've done something with you or work with you or what have you historically or something, but I keep it very defined in that realm. I don't just, I just says, oh yeah, you want to be friends? Sure, let's be friends. Facebook, yeah. Facebook, I love it to see all the diversity of the content that comes up because of it. LinkedIn, it's like, no, that's my business persona. That's who I am in business, and I only want to reflect and associate with people similar to it. I did find it interesting that internationally, I have a lot of communications in India and China and APAC now. And I think it came from me going back to Shanghai back and forth in Australia a little bit. For some reason, who I connected with, that audience grew within the APAC community, and I've gotten a lot of engagements from those markets now, and I never had them before. That's great. And it's been kind of interesting because they actually dialogue quite nicely. It's they're not hammering you with, hey, I sell this, like you get sometimes when you connect with the wrong person. But it's actually about dialogue, about questions about, have they seen the show? There's some about that too. They ask about things that come up in the show. Which I find very interesting that, we're getting an audience that watches it, 12 hours after or 1 week after we post this stuff. So,
do you put your Google AdWords certification on your LinkedIn? That might have something to do with it. I got certified finally. I don't know why. I just felt like I needed to do it for Google AdWords. And so I put it on my LinkedIn profile, and my requests from India skyrocketed when I did that. I was so curious.
I don't have any mind. The only thing I have in the CSDM is that's it. I don't have anything else that I had on it. And going back to some of the stuff, the Facebook one, I haven't. Yeah, I got and Google AdWords, not AdWords, but analytics. Yep. I haven't. I should go back.
Put them on there. Put them on there.
Yeah, I should probably. Like I said, I have to update. Again, especially after going from New Orleans with you in August, is like, yeah, I should go up and polish it again. Put later shows in, because I was putting a lot of content up on my LinkedIn about the shows and the podcasts and the marketing minutes and all that stuff. But I haven't updated it in a long time with more recent content like that. I have a video that I put up of me in my actual summary, and they've just added the tagline, which I think is interesting. You can add your own tagline, which I used to put. As the headline in your title, but now they actually want you to have a tagline. So definitely go back and update. If you get the chance, go take, if you're interested in it from a self-promotion point of view, the Branzuca is based out of Boulder, Colorado. They do video programmatic advertising. And they're really good about demographic targeting and geographic targeting for programmatic. And it gets you off the YouTube thing, because I bought of all things, I stacked up a bunch of video self-hosted stuff. I think it's Publicio out of so it's not on YouTube that I have the videos if I don't want them. I haven't used it yet, but the load time is faster. It keeps it off your website. It doesn't keep it in the YouTube ecosystem, and it also means that on these advertisement campaigns, you can use your own video source to them, because they don't want to pull it from YouTube. They want to pull it from your own hosting.
Yeah, but you know what? Why don't you want to be on YouTube? Because that's where everybody is.
It's not being on YouTube. It's losing control by putting it on YouTube. Because you can put it on YouTube when all these shows go on YouTube, as you know, and everything else. But some of the video hosting stuff, like for instance, the Rocket Program presentations that I'm doing, the best I can do is leave them unlisted and then put a link into my website that pulls the video player over. Yeah. Where on the lockdown stuff, I can't put it behind a membership wall. So what I have to do is, if I want to do private videoing, I have to have my own hosting, and I don't want to put it on my own website to do it, because God knows it's already slow with plugins. Just imagine having to queue up a few gigs of video availability. So the ability to host your own video, like Wisteria, like Ustream, where it's your own hosting environment. You can control the accesses much more minutially to it than YouTube's unlisted, private, or public.
Huh.
But
I thought-
I 200 gigs.
I thought YouTube had the ability to tack it down by email, that sort of thing. Or you're just saying visitors to your website where they aren't necessarily registered?
Right.
Or, okay.
Well, two things. One is I can put it behind a membership wall. That's okay to do, but
Right.
but YouTube only gives us those three options of the availability of the video. You can't
Right.
really lock it down any other way. Now, I can use like Cloud, the Cloud app, which will allow me to go over and put a password link and share the YouTube link and leave it as unlisted. But I can't if I don't put it public on my website. If I try to put it as unlisted, it will say this video can't be played.
Right. Right.
So you have to put it as excuse me, unlisted, not private, but unlisted. Unlisted allows you to still let it play. Private.
There
doesn't let
was
you
a
play.
way around. I'm trying to think. There was a way around. I can't remember. That was a few years, and they may have changed it. They may have. I can't remember with a client. This was again like 3 years ago. We ran into that problem. We figured out a workaround, but they may have changed it. I don't know.
But the idea of video ads and so forth, I would prefer to have it on my own locked private hosting, and that way I can go to these places like Branzuka, and they can pull the video right from it. The load time is faster, the controls there, and your ads can be distributed, and you get all the metrics.
Yeah.
Which is helpful.
And of course, Lauren may be very concerned about the content of these videos coming in.
Well, you know, some videos they just don't want out there in the public space. But
the radical overthrow of the hospitality, advertising, public relations, and brand, industries. Yeah, Lauren is his militant call for
hospitality take over the world, right?
Exactly.
No, the
for a
part that I
coup.
thought about the part that I thought about it, Holly, literally is about the training sessions I want to develop, and keeping them privately hosted and controlled by me rather than having them on YouTube as a sale out.
Absolutely.
That way, if I have them privately hosted, then I can control the distribution on it. Plus, I don't have to have it loaded on my website. So I figured if I'm those same training and for you, maybe the possibilities there too is like, you know, those things keep under a bottle at that point.
Boy, and that is really, really important, because if you're selling anything, the videos, any sort of content where, it's licensed subscriber based, that presentations, you name it, white papers, all that stuff, you have to be so careful, because basically my recommendation is you start going into view source and really look at what it is, because in many cases you can go reverse engineer and go, oh, there's the link. Yeah. Got their white paper. Yeah. I mean, just really, not good for revenue leakage.
Yeah. That's the part about this platform, is that you can make it where it can only play on the viewer of the page you put it on, period.
Yeah.
So that it can't be shared to somebody else. And it also doesn't play, like you take Camtasia or something and you frame out a video and so forth.
Right.
It blocks the ability to record off. It won't allow the simultaneous play of a software on that page.
Yeah, it's like limiting the copy functionality and things like that.
Yeah, it limits the copy functionality of the video itself, so somebody can't scrape it off your page either.
And what's it called? Brandapalooza?
Hold on, I'll tell you a second. Let me go find it real fast. I was looking at Funnel Dash real quick. It is. I just stacked it not too long ago. Not Funnel Dash. Basil, no. Viral Stat, no. Linkcheetah. Oh, by the way, Linkcheetah is a really fun one too. Oh yeah, you get a kick out of all my pages of stuff I bought. By the way, the new old stamp gives me my signature line, which was pretty cool. Engage form.
I know, bought it.
New
Did
old
you?
stamp.
New old stamp.
I have
Now,
one.
what does new old stamp do?
Publitio. Here, hold on. I'm just going to get the link. AppSumo Publitio. Here we go. I'll put it down here. There you go. Publitio.
No. Your video storage.
That's it. Publitio.
Publico?
Yeah,
okay.
Public.io.
Oh, public.io.
Yeah, Public.io. Yeah.
Public.io. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Public.io. Public.io. Yep, that's it.
All right, thanks. One more. One more time. One more to buy. One more. All right,
One more.
speaking of buying, it's Black Friday. It's time for me to shop.
That's right. That's
gotta
right.
go.
You know, just real quick on that last note for that part of it. So for me, and this has been just a strategy issue for November, it's not about Black Friday and Cyber Monday anymore. It's about November events. The dilution of offering for hotels.
Oh yeah.
We're actually in avoidance of today's date and Monday's date because we're just at best going to be white noise because the old way, I guess, of us announcing some sort of value proposition for our hotels and coordinating it with days like today and Monday just fall on deaf ears now. We're half stepping off of them a little bit. That when we're going to do a little slow roll on holiday offers Sunday before Cyber Monday, and then we're going to do a whole nother roll on specific high opportunity offers towards the end of the week, Thursday, Friday. It's just a shift in strategy of not getting lost in all the clutter. Because, I mean, face it, we were getting Black Friday deals in October, from a retail perspective.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
already people have begun engaging with some of their stuff. And we didn't go early in because it was a little too premature, we thought, to try to jump in and say, guess what we're doing for holidays come in early October. But now that we've rolled through Thanksgiving, which is the big distraction holiday where people don't think about Christmas until after Thanksgiving's over, in the sense that, okay, we got through Thanksgiving, we did the family thing, now let's think about holiday. Now we're going to roll out some of this general holiday happiness and then very specific, unique deal kind of stuff. And that also includes, and I wanted to bring this recognition to anybody that hasn't done this yet, gift cards and gift certificates actually are a really cool revenue source.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Because
they lose them.
Well, yeah, you bank into a certain amount of it anyway. But the other is that it gives you a very tailored audience that you can hit whenever you have downtimes, where you can tell your gifts to people, "Hey, your redemption just went up 15% if you come these following dates." Or you want to get them in during certain times, saying, "You know what? For everybody that comes in, redeems a gift card, we're going to give you XYZ amenity." So it's a great custom audience.
Now, how are you managing those? Are you managing those just as a pure third-party gift card thing, or is it tied in with your? Is that gift card production tied in with your payment platform?
Well, I have two usabilities to this. Yes, to both. I have one that has it tied into the payment platform, and that way you can just buy it with the online presence. I use a place called Presto Mart. It's $39. Now, it gives you the choice. You can put in your method of payment provider on it so that the people can do the credit card experience completely automated, and you don't have to handle it except for the fulfillment. The other is, and this is the cheaper version, the guest uses their method of payment on it. They, in their mind, have gotten the affirmation that they bought it, but what it does do is then send out a notification to the hotel saying, Lauren Gray just bought a gift card. Then the hotel has to log into the account, pull the credit card information within the 48 hours before it goes away, and do the manual fulfillment, card not present, fill in the credit card into your on-property method of payment program, okay, the credit card, and then fulfill it by sending whatever it is that you do as collateral for it, whether it's a letterhead letter, whether it's a unique card, whatever it is that you have already predetermined as a fulfillment, and send it to whomever they have. Why I like Presto Mart is, one, I can buy it for somebody else and put that information in it so that they know where to send the gift card that I'm buying, if not me. You can give credit value proposition that says if I buy 100, I get $25 free, and put it all together and keep it separate. I can add amenity values to it, and in future usage beyond this, if you do Christmas buffets or Thanksgiving buffets or anything like this, you can sell tickets to the buffet via this as well. Yeah. And also any amenities that you want to do on property, you can build your own amenities engagement. So that if you want to buy the champagne and rose petals for mom and dad heading to a romantic weekend and whatever you're sending them to, you can do the same thing and fulfill it the same way, without it having to be attached to a guest folio or an account that you have to create. You don't have to do any of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can, some of these cloud-based payment platforms are doing some pretty amazing stuff where you can do all your loyalty, you can do all your gift card, all these sorts of things, keeping track of the points very, very efficiently. And as you said, use it for a lot of different purposes where if people don't want to be part of the program, things like that, you can go track, okay, here we go. Here's your little one-off, one-off whatever, but then you can keep them in a little bucket to continue to keep the engagement. Which is
and like Holly pointed out earlier with
amazing.
Zapier. Zapier, you start plugging some stuff together. You start pulling the contact data out through Zaps into a Google Sheet or into MailChimp directly if you want to, or whatever platform you use or want to use. And now you've created a fulfillment program of your previous gift holders. Two forms you can fill out: one who bought it, two who got it, so that you can then refer to them back and forth, saying, "Remember when you bought, Robert, that amazing $1,000 hotel stay in Austin?" Thank you, Holly. Well, now send Robert something really nice.
But those are hugely important, especially if you're in the resort market, because you will have, especially for like family travel or multi-generational travel, people get really messed up on trying to household these things, right? And if you can get it tied into your payment platform, all of a sudden you can start, tying things back and go, oh, the condo was paid for by the grandparents, but the lift tickets were picked up by individual, and you start, if you can start pulling that stuff together, it's unbelievably high quality data to, again, understand your customers and how they're behaving and going. It's not just, oh, we're targeting this zip code to have people come and stay during this week, right? It's like these are really different groups of people who, like a ski resort, right? They're buying ski lessons, they're renting equipment, they're buying, big meals on, in the, on the mountain. Oh, they're buying big meals in the restaurants or the lodges or, whatever it may be. So, yeah, it's hugely huge opportunities.
Do you guys have any other platforms that you've used in the past for gift cards or gift certificates that have online fulfillment merchants and stuff like that?
I'm a Card Dog fan. Card Dog with
Card Dog?
Which not many people have heard of, but they do. I think it's a part of somebody bought them. I think, actually, I don't know if they bought them, but I think it's part of TRI, who's like a transaction resources. It's a payment processing. It's a payment processor, but they have some pretty interesting stuff that they do. Then they actually do a bunch of ski stuff, which is where I kind of came across them. But what the most amazing one, I don't think you'll mind if I talk about it. Marcus Theaters, which is like probably the number 5 movie theater group in the country. The guy who runs their loyalty program is a former Midwest Airlines guy, right? So he used to run loyalty there. And then when they were acquired by Frontier, he goes to Marcus. They have, I would guess, probably 1.5 to 2 million members, and they run that program with like a couple full-time equivalents because it's all tied into their payment platform, right? So, when they come in, they can start doing things. And again, this isn't a movie theater context, but they go, oh, you don't have to pay on a direct booking, you don't have to pay the fee that you normally have for the booking, right? The transaction fee for that reservation. Oh, on Tuesdays, you get a $5 movie ticket because you're a member, right? And all they have to do is kind of just have their card scanned or whatever, and it all happens, right, in the point of sale system. And you get a free popcorn, right? And it's keeping track that you can't go get 12 of these popcorns. Try to put together another system that would handle all of those scenarios of the online transaction, the discounted purchase, in real time at the point of sale, the value adds and things like that. And you got a lot of complexity. These guys, boom, it's done. And they have minimal customer care issues because all the stuff happens in the payment processing system. And it's like, plus they're tied to, it's this credit card, this is authorized, we've got you. And they can do amazing, and then they can start tracking in, here are the movies these people saw. on these days. And oh, did they see it in IMAX? Did they see it in whatever? What theaters did they go to? Oh, they go to different all those different patterns is outrageously powerful stuff. But again, it's all based on the payment of having loyalty integrated completely with the payment processing.
They tried to incorporate that though into their hotel side, and they had some challenges.
Maybe,
Not surprising. The hotel.
No. If you get it all on the same, and my bet was they probably weren't using the same payment processing platform to do it, or they ran into problems with PMS integration into it, right? As opposed to the point of sale. I would bet, yeah.
Which is, just classic. You have this brilliant system that works fabulously well, and then you try and do it in hotels and.
Yeah, and normally it's the PMS, right? The PMS is the linchpin because they're like, we don't have an interface at that point, payment processing thing, and you can only get these sorts of, fields in the API, or it's kludgy going in different files, or most of the time the CRM stuff isn't even core in the PMS; it's some other bolt-on, right? And then all of a sudden the wheels fall off. But yeah.
Well,
But these guys were doing, the cool thing was these guys were doing that program only using, I think they had micros for a point of sale system or something, but it was just the point of sale system and the payment processor. There weren't other things, right? I mean, they had email and stuff like that they wound up, feeding these names off into and things like that. They did have other systems, but this thing was pretty much self-contained, which is incredible.
Well, and with any of these things, I mean, again, the usabilities are only as good as the people that are attached to it. You can have all the functionality, but if they're not being used for it, it's really just another list of burden for somebody else. But I guess the key element to all the gift certificate and gift card programs is that if you fulfill them well, and your team has to know how they get used. You can't just put something in place and your front desk doesn't know about it because it only takes one person to go, what the hell is this letter saying $500 credit to be applied? What is that? It has to be acknowledged that this is our method of gift cards. Are you going to do a letterhead that has to be manually scratched through and re-signed with the remaining balance to it? It's going to be a little plastic card that has to work in your POS system so that there's actually a credit on it and it can't be boofed and somebody else start front loading it with other values. You have to decide what it is. And I would make a recommendation when I say all this, keep it as simple as possible. Most hotels have some sort of upper end collateral letterhead that they use or card of acknowledgement. Use those and make sure that you designate what authenticates them. Is it a particular person's signature? Is it a particular code number you put on it, handwritten or not?
Absolutely.
What is it that validates it?
You need for this to avoid fraud, you have to have some sort of independent tracking number, right? Which is continued with it that nobody sees, right? It's not revealed, to most anybody. And then you can go and actually I wouldn't even use that code. You can use it as like a pointer, right? Some sort of indicator. So you go, oh yeah, see this at the corner, it's ABC123. That is some sort of link to the basically it's a voucher ID. Right. To basically say that is a valid voucher, and then that points to the actual, number. Absolutely essential. Otherwise, you will have a fraud. Actually, little known story: the Right Express single-use credit card, right? That everybody uses a platform. That was my little, business requirements, and the thing we made Right do that they did not want to do was that voucher number, which eliminated all fraud off of the stuff, because you basically, you could look it up and go, oh, do you have such and such? We need your key. And if that key didn't work, you knew that they got a copy from someone, or it was, whatever was triggered. But it absolutely wipes out. If you take that additional step from the design to build in that, not just that voucher number, but then kind of a secure link, a simple, it's like a bit.ly almost, right? You use some sort of, you could even use a bit.ly for, I suppose, just thinking of it, some sort of condensed compression of this is that key through going through some sort of algorithm. That's great. They can't they can't cheat. You just go, I'm sorry, it's not good. It's not validating. Where did you get this? Right? Because it's not, it doesn't work, and we aren't having system problems. I don't know. There's something wrong with how you pick this up. We're really sorry. But we can sign you up for a different one or something like that. We can sign you up from scratch, but you can't keep using that card. Right.
Holly, did you ever use WooCommerce? Whoop, Holly left. Did you ever use WooCommerce, Robert?
I would take that as a no.
Holly says no on the WooCommerce. No, I'm trying to learn more about WooCommerce. I have it as, of course, as a part of the platform I have for my website, but I'm looking at it, and it looks like pure retail, but then I keep going into it, and it's not pure retail.
You can do WooCommerce. I have actually not personally used it, but I know a lot of folks who just absolutely swear by it. Yeah.
I have to thank Holly because
it is pretty powerful too. It is like the platform. Yeah.
Right. It is connected to so many things. Holly, I have to thank her. I know she probably had to step out because she ran out of time. She had mentioned that when she jumped on early, she's like, I can only be for a few minutes or something. So obviously we had a wonderful engaging conversation that gets to stay a little bit longer. Holly, we completely understand. Thank you so much for having made it for the time that you did, because here we are clicking in almost 2 hours again, which is always fun because we didn't talk about a single news item today. Not a single news item.
That's because I didn't provide any.
Well, yeah, but I even had my Feedly up ready to rock and roll if I wanted to, but I was more important. I really thought, and I do, Robert, thank you. I really didn't expect you to be here, and I appreciate it so very much that you did.
I wasn't actually expecting to. I was freed from having to go participate in Black Friday events with my family, which is talking about. I am the persona who wants to avoid Black Friday shopping. Like, don't give me those pitches, sort of thing. So
no, it's fun to see stuff online stuff. But no, I really expected today was like, you know what? I'm just going to pull up some of my favorite tools and toys. I want to talk maybe about some strategy selections as to, okay, you're sitting at your hotel. You have some people doing some work for you, but you're not clear about exactly what they're doing and how productive they are. And then you bring in somebody like me, or considering bringing somebody like me, what would you be able to do for yourself without having to bring in somebody like me? So almost like contra to my business model, be like, what do you need to know about yourself first to know what it is you don't know? And then from there, how is you going to find out what you should know to know what decisions you need to make about it? So I was going to go from that perspective of like, hey, look, you're whether you're an independent single property or whether you're part of a chain or what have you, you see your competitors. How do you find out more about them? You see yourself. How do you find out more about how you show up? What can you find out from other people? And then play with some of the tools. So I think I'll bring that into a later episode where we kind of throw that in a little bit, because I think I'd like to talk, as we get into the new year especially, a little bit more of the strategy components of, okay, so this is your world and this is what's going on. How can you keep in touch with it? How do you keep engaged with your comp set online? How do you keep up with the stuff that's coming out beyond the news feeds and beyond the news and things like this? A little bit more of the how do you do that kind of thing? More of a process to that. I see a lot of people out there that are, and I said this rhetorically, that it was, this company tried to put out a tech toolbox, and I like the visualization of it. I
One
like how
size fits all.
Yeah, but they base it on the skill to operate it, the price if there is one, its capabilities, whether it has courses for it, if there's memberships associated with it, does it do certain things, whatever. I like the categorization, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal the categorization or reallocate the asset. Let's just say that, reallocate the asset. Right. And I'll send this over to you, Robert, to pick at, and put in what I think are better tools. Or at least more useful hospitality-specific tools, because not all of these tools make sense. There's a lot of retail tools, and there's like they don't translate in for usability. So I'd much rather go over.
Well, they could. Again, you run into the kind of the PMS problem, though, right? Where it's like, yeah, this is a really great tool, but what's it tying into? Oh, it's got to be completely integrated to the PMS to go, to do whatever. And then you just go, well, gee, we don't, that company doesn't want to go spend X tens of thousands of dollars to go do it and then wait a long time. And then, have you go buy it, spend thousands of dollars to go, activate the interface. So huge friction points to be able to do that.
Yeah, and then just out of interest, and always Googling is Googling. I wanted to see what gift card softwares were out there just for fun, and there was this ranking system, and I came across one I didn't even know existed. Tap Mango.
Tap Mango, huh?
Yeah. Now I never
not
liked
familiar with that.
Neither am I. I never like a website that when it has a pricing navigation button and you hit it, it just talks about making a demo for you.
Oh,
That
yeah.
always worries me. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I need to quantify whether I'm even in the ballpark of being interested in you. If you're telling me it is hundreds or thousands of dollars to set up and X dollars, hundreds of dollars, $1,000 a month to run, I'm not in your league. I have no interest. I'm sure it's a great product. I'm not that person. However, if you tell me it's like Presto Store, which is $29.95 a month, or you were talking about Card Dog, which is I think it's about the same, or is it? I don't know. I don't see a price on it. But that's affordable.
It's more like a bolt on to the payment processing on the Card Dog side. Yeah, you can kind of do a la carte things if you need certain features. But
okay, so that. But when you tell me I got to go get a demo before I can talk to you, that's a little rough.
Oh yeah, no, and it's just I have no interest in those unless somebody said this is fantastic. You've got to talk to the salesperson,
right?
And I just look at that and go, yeah, you made maximum value, but you didn't tell me what it was. I can't determine the value without knowing how much it costs, and you're probably going to screw me over on some sort of variable pricing thing where I'm paying, the retail price, and other people who just pushed a little harder or did whatever, or were in an industry you like better or whatever, has nothing to do with me, or winding up getting it for a third of the price, right? Just because you've got, who knows, internally they're trying to penetrate restaurants or funeral homes or who knows, right? So.
And again goes back to, and this is something I've been trying to ponder, and I probably should bring it up with Holly as whether she's even interested in potentially this as a build. So you look at these things like Tap Mango and all these others, and then there's another one, Annex and Re-Up and Preferred Patron Loyalty, and there's a whole mess of these ones that are trying to blend gift cards and loyalty and CRM. Okay.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that's not a value proposition. I think that's a very high value proposition. My issue is there has to be stepping stone software that brings you into the value proposition. Like, why can't we have a relatively simplistic membership loyalty program that, I'm sorry, we'd love to have it plug into the PMS, but PMS people are they're retentive, is a nice way of saying, and about their ability to let you connect to them without paying a large amount of money even if they are.
It's platform lock-in, right? That's
right.
How they.
So keeping that criteria out of it, is there a way that we can say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Joe Guest, so sorry to make you do this, but we're really going to make it worth your while that you do. Go to this page of ours, okay? Sign up. Then take your confirmation number that you got from us and put it in the little field right here. Yeah. Now we'll get notified that you did, and we're going to credit whatever you purchased with us with that guest folio into your reward program.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. We're going to make the points really affordable for you, or the value proposition really good for you, so that effort is rewarded. Okay, we're going to give you some nice stuff for doing this.
Right.
We're also going to keep in connection with you to send you whatever you're interested in. Then we're going to make sure you get it first before anybody else, and we're going to give you a value proposition for what business you've done with us. But it requires you to have to come to our membership site. Yeah. And it requires, there's going to be a little work here, but it's going to be worth it for us to keep this relationship.
Boy, but that's the problem. You've got to eliminate the effort on the part of the consumer, right? This has to be 100% benefit for them, and the administrative stuff for you has to evaporate, right? Every single friction point you do that.
That is a perfect world. Ultimately, that is a perfect world. And I agree with you. And that in these platforms like this Tap Mango or wherever else out there, it's probably trying to get to that point by connecting to the PMS systems and everything else. What I'm saying is for a Joe Schmo independent hotel sitting in XYZ land who, one, can't afford the cost of some of these loyalty integration value proposition programs and doesn't have a value proposition other than his own product for them to come back to. I mean, he's not connected to 100 other people. He's not doing not guest folio. What is a room key? What is that dang membership program that independent hotels
Stash?
Stash is one, but there's a guess something or other. Anyways, the idea of it is that now you're part of a big pool, which means you're paying redemptions, so forth.
Right.
You're not really generating business for your own hotel. You're just in a cluster of other things.
Right. Well, you're getting referrals, right? It's a referral scheme.
It's a referral platform, right? Where I really want to create a relationship value proposition for somebody who's coming to a hotel.
Yep.
I want to give them value for coming back. And I can't do that in those diluted programs. So this is like a stepping stone software idea. It's like, if you sign up, I promise to give you great value, but it's going to take some effort on your part.
But they've got to love. But they've got to love you so much and trust you so much. And if they're a long-term, guest who does that, they'll go do that. But if it's like a first-time, they might not. You might not have established that level of trust. So you've got to make it easy, right? Just do this, you're in. Well, actually, my thing is really, once you tie things into like the payment processing platforms and things like that, if you can start saying, would you like to join our loyalty program, right? And it's a checkbox, right, that they can do on the screen or whatever, and just say, yes, I'm in, right? Boom, that's it. Because again, maybe at the time of reservation, and you've said, hey, we'll give you an X, whatever, a $15 credit in the bar or something, whatever the case may be, right? We'll give you such and such. Would you like to join the reward program? Here's we won't spam you. We won't sell your names to other people. All the just few key little points. This is all about you just doing that. Then I think you can get them. You might be able to get them at check-in. You might be able to get them at checkout, sort of thing. And ideally, if you can have something where you look at these ice cream shops and things like that, where they just go, they're using Stripe or they're using Square or something very simple, and they just go, good, sign your name here, check the box, boom, you're done, right? If hotels can start doing things like that, then you start getting these people go, yeah, that's easy, I'm done, and you have all my information anyway. All you need is that checkbox, right? You need that acknowledgement. It's locked in, it's timestamped, you've opted in, all those sorts of things. Then
to me, I think from a hotelier's point of view, and I try to really empathize with sitting in a small hotel, independent, in a destination location, or in a location, not even destination location. There's ways to re-influence your relationship with your past and current guests and future guests by going to your local interesting restaurants and say, look,
absolutely,
can I give them $10 off by being a associated member with me? That I say, hey, look, if you're coming in the month of January, the local XYZ farm to table market restaurant that everybody loves, and here's their ratings, here's their site, here's all this stuff, is giving us a $10 voucher, $15, $20 voucher towards, by staying with us, you get this going to them while you're at our stay. Then other things where you can go over and say, look, if you book for September, we talk to the XYZ event and we can get XYZ percentage off. If you buy your ticket now, we can buy your early purchase ticket.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, you can do amazing stuff for cross-sell, upsell, refer, all that stuff. But the challenge on the loyalty point is, how are you plugged in where it's easy for that restaurant or wherever to go do that, right? Because for the event, yes, maybe it's an online interface and they're using whatever platform, right? Some sort of ticket selling platform, but you need to be able to populate that ID into a promo code field and transact that kind of seamlessly, right? For those, because again, if you wind up doing something where it's use this coupon code, right? And here's your 16-digit coupon code that you got to go plug into that event. A lot of resourceful people will go, oh, here's a coupon code, just use it, right? And who knows what the relationship, I mean, I know of one place that tried doing that and they got burnt because this coupon code, it wound up being, oh yeah, well, you'll just direct bill us back, right? because we'll pay you, we've got $10 of credit, you'll get it restaurant, right? Sort of thing, where it isn't necessarily a referral, right? They try to do it a little bit further because it was a good, I think it was like a 50-50 split. You got $20 off. Hotel paid $10 because they were taking a haircut, to go channel it, produce value. And that was great. Oh, somebody copied the coupon code. All of a sudden they had a whole bunch of people booking or making restaurant reservations. Right. It had nothing to do with that hotel, right? And they're like, wow, you've been sending us tons of business. It's like, tons? Wow, you have a really weird, it's right. Only been like a dozen people. They're like, no, we got like 200 people. Well, everybody in the local neighborhood got a hold of this coupon code, right?
See, here's the thing. So, there's a software that I've used in the past that actually is specific to that. It's called That's Biz. That's Biz. You can create a QR code that is quantified, definable by date, time, or quantity. And so all your servers who, downloadable, scannable software, right now the phones already do it automatically. And all it does is it goes to a SQL server. It'll ping on that QR code, go to the SQL server that it designates, identify that particular QR code validation.
And take it out of inventory. Yeah.
Take it out of inventory and validate whether it's valid or not by just it's valid or not valid, period.
Yeah. So and that's what I'm saying with that level of security, like with the single-use credit card thing, right? There's a credit card number that's kind of floating around that certain folks may have access to depending on PCI compliance or thing, right? That thing's got to get transacted. But then you've got the situation of, no, you need an independent voucher ID, or like the QR code. You've got some other stuff in there that goes, yep, you had the password right. It's almost like a two-factor authentication, right? You got the password right, but you also have to tap on your phone to make sure that it goes through, right? Same sort of principle you need if you don't have those sorts of checks, which again takes it from the realm of here's some little cool free tool that just does it and it's super simple to, oh, we need to make sure we've got this stuff all populated, properly. And it's, but a lot of those guys like Square and Stripe and, probably Tap Mango and who knows are probably doing a lot more sophisticated type things, which is great because you can start off and maybe grow with them. But again, is it a point where you want to pay, 2.95% plus 30 cents for Stripe or 2.75%? That can get expensive if you have a high ADR and stuff like that, and they're doing your processing. Yikes! That's that.
And that's
ugly.
The thing with Presto Mart and Presto Store that I like is once you set it up, is you're doing your method of payment at your hotel. Yeah, you're just paying what you normally pay for card not present charges. Right. I mean, you're not running it through somebody else that takes their pound of flesh before it gets to you.
Yeah. Yep.
So
there are lots of ways to figure that out, but the thing that I'm really on is how can you make it where everybody who uses you is a potential loyalty member, and all they have to do is say yes to opt in, and all of a sudden you just go, oh my gosh, we've got them, sort of thing. We've got the, we can now communicate with these folks because it was so easy for them to join. Now we can start communicating, which is kind of what the hotel groups have done with, the bait of get the member only rate and sign it. Oh, you're going to get free Wi-Fi. So there's enough stuff there to get them convert. But then what are you really doing to nurture them in a relevant manner, right? Is a whole nother, that's a whole nother course from Holly Zoba. So
that's right. I was always going to
have Holly. The only place you can learn these secrets of success. Holly dropped off before I asked her what her sales influencer score was. Did she say?
I don't know if she said or not.
I don't know. Maybe that's why she dropped off. So
we should go ask her. It is at a 2 hour mark. I did not expect that to sort of last. I really thought it was just going to be one of those, hey, let's talk about some fun tools and techniques. But I sincerely appreciate so much coming in, Robert. And Holly, thank you for having come in sooner and then spending some time. It was a really
Lauren, when you have 3,200 toys and you get very excited about showing them all of the toys, it's going to be more than 2 hours.
That's true, right? That's true. But there were no scheduled format. I'd be like, oh, look at this one. Oh, look at this one. Look at this one.
Or it's not really. You know what you could compare it to? It's the kitchen gadget people. Right? Look at this. It's like, what the hell is that? It removes the seeds from cucumbers without
I don't know if you,
spoiling.
I don't know if you follow a comic strip, but that's been around for many, many years, since the '80s, called Bloom County.
Yes.
I love Bloom County, and I'm so glad that Burke Breed, who is the creator of that, came back, and he does it online. So now he doesn't have the restrictions of editorial constraints when it comes to newspaper publications. He can just put it on social platforms, and not that he's turned vulgar or rude or anything. If anything, he's turned more creatively witty and funny, because he doesn't have to worry about offending in the sense that newspapers have to worry about with editorial. But there's always been the infamous Turnip Twaddler, which was from the old Ronco TV series. Not that it existed, but for all of us old, remember, Robert, the late night infomercials on the latest, greatest toys, gadgets, and what have you. It was the internet of its day. So that's where the humor of the Turnip Twaddler came through. I can't buy enough of these apparently useless tools that everybody needs to have for some crisis reasons. So now he has it back into his comic stream, and it's funny as heck as ever. But Bloom County is pretty good.
That's actually, we were talking about influencer marketing and things. I mean, a part of the thing with influencer marketing is social proof, right? You go, look at this. I'm here at this destination. Look at this product I have. This is great. I'm using it. It's fantastic. Back in the old infomercial days, there were some great. So I'll never forget. This was early '60s. It was a very, very famous ad. It was for a football game, maybe mid '60s, and they always had Timex, and you had this guy John Cameron Swayze, who was the spokesperson for them, and he had this Timex watch, and takes a beating and keeps on ticking. So they strapped the watch to the blade of an outboard motor.
I remember that ad. I remember that ad.
Lost the watch. He couldn't find it. It slipped off of the blade of the propeller blade, and they just couldn't find it.
those what it is. Timex, of course. It's a great lesson in what is old is still new, in the sense of old school marketing, new techniques. The tools and techniques we have aren't necessarily different than what sales used to be before. It's just how the message gets rendered. Because if you look at it, Timex had an issue back then, being compared to the more established watchmakers, that it was cheap and unreliable.
It was, yeah.
So the target was, we have to prove its reliability. So they went through these ludicrous. They put it in a blender. They put it. They did all these different things for it. Skydiving, a gorilla, Samsonite suitcases. Remember the gorilla?
The durability thing. Yeah.
To prove the fact that the biggest opposition they had to the product, because it was an affordable watch, was that it was a cheap watch. So the same concept in our marketing strategies here exist. What is the element that you're being pressed against that is not in a positive for you? Identify it and find a messaging that corrects for it, if it's not true. If you're a cheap, good location hotel and cheap is against it, don't use the word cheap, but put affordable, and tailor not what about the hotel's amenities, talk about what's around the hotel. There's a way of changing your messaging like if you have an aspect about it that you're not compared to the other hotels, you're not the cheapest, but by far you have the best service, then you rely on the fact that the quality that you represent, the private price, is a value proposition. It's the it's the persistent way sales and marketing has always worked. We just have different modalities now. So anyway.
Oh no, and if you're a hotel, very, very few hotels do explore our neighborhood type thing, right? And you can do video content with your concierge or different staff members. It doesn't matter. It can be, a front office clerk, an assistant manager, somebody going, here's the coolest little dress boutique that is just right around the corner. We love these guys, and tell them you're with us, you're staying with us or something like, and who knows, you work something out with them and go, you do something. Oh yeah, give them an upgrade or a free, whatever they spend. Not necessarily a promise of you will get 10% or a $50 such and such, but all of a sudden you just go have that little local ecosystem appreciate. Oh, you're sending us people from out of town who would never know we existed, right? And you can do very clever, little inexpensive. We're talking iPhone quality videos, which is a pretty good little camera, and some decent production value of just saying, hey, and we're meeting with her, and this is our coolest. And you can change it up. Here's the fall. Here's what we have for fall. Here's our little holiday thing. Because if you know people coming in and they're staying for the holiday might want to shop, here's a cool little place you can go. You know?
Right. Again, it goes back to first-person experiences, which people are interested in, and this is just breaking down from a marketing perspective. Say, for instance, there's a large-scale event that's happening where your hotel is advantageous to be a participant in, your location's nearby it or what have you. Take the team members that you have, if not yourself, that you think reflect the demographics of the people that you think are interested in the event. Right. And do first-person experience videos with them, not where they're putting themselves on and going, hey, look at me, but rather they're enjoying this event. They're showing you what they're seeing.
They're doing their job. They're going, hey, this is my neighborhood, or this is I'm so proud of this hotel, or I'm so proud of, something that's great, and I want to tell you about because you're going to really like it. Right.
And then you watch the engagement of those videos or the engagement of the content you put out there, and you isolate that into a database of saying, okay, when we talked about this event, these people engaged with the content we generated from this. Then take that and put it into your social platform, and then redefine that as either a lookalike audience or what have you, if there's sufficient size to it, that you then now have a targeted audience to reapply for the next year. You've literally done your research this year for your event next year, knowing when, because you look at Google Analytics, when people are interested in that event, when they begin to get into the discovery phase, you can see that engagement, and you can do that in Google Trends, which is a free tool from Google. You can do that with your own website based on content that is specific to the event that people engage with. You know this precipice of interest. And at that point, you then start soliciting this custom audience, this lookalike audience of people, okay, that you know geographically would come to this event if they're maybe aware of it again, and bring them into the conversation with you involved. That's the marketing part of it.
Well, and you can start building really cool. Let's just say the local museum, right? It could be an art museum. It could be a museum of natural history. It could be has some sort of very high demand event, right? Something really cool. You can start going, hey, you know what? What's the problem? Getting tickets, standing in line, whatever, maybe crowded. You know what? You can get VIP access. Stay with our hotel. You come in. You can have a weekend. We can do a such and such thing. And, it's an impressionist art. We're going to do a French dinner, or even with a local French restaurant, right? You can start making packages. Oh, and you're going to get VIP access with a group. Oh, and we're going to have someone who's an art historian from the local thing. Whatever. You can start doing stuff, and not just the local community. You can what's the local drive market? I would get everybody who's within 30 minutes who's looking for, or Black Friday, right? We will have a little van that goes here, and you can go, over here, or we're going to have a shopper, someone who's really good, who can go lead you around and go to these places, and
look at this way.
Create stuff like that, right?
Going back to our loyalty discussion of frequency, if you go into your database and say, tell me everybody in my CRM system that has stayed with me at least 5 times in the past 12 months, and you have a list of people that have frequency. All right, so these people, whether you have a loyalty program or not, you can identify. Then you go to, say, your local restaurant that has a chef's table. And most of the time it's exclusive, hard to get to. Oftentimes it's pre-booked up. But there's downtimes. There's always downtimes. And probably most likely those downtimes are reflected in your downtimes. Okay? But now you go to your list of people and say, hey, guess what? You have been faithful to us. You come to us frequently. We looked at you as being our regular clientele, and we sincerely appreciate your loyalty to us. We've negotiated with the Chez Louis, whatever, okay, that has a chef's table that normally is exclusively unavailable and so forth, that we have reservation seats available for the following dates, that should you want to come and stay with us during these dates, we can get you in, and it's only going to be this compared to this. And you go to the restaurant, obviously, negotiate this, saying, look, we'll solicit our group of people that are loyal returnees to come. You can't charge them for this, you can't charge them for this, but you can't get them on the table. It gives you flow. It gives us flow. It's not going to fill the house, but it's certainly going to keep us from being empty. So let's get together on this one. That's the kind of stuff that can be done with creative thinking from people that are running their hotels from a hospitality perspective. They're seeing it from that rather than a chart and a report and a shrug of the shoulders that says, boy, I don't know why everybody's walking by but not walking in. No, they're taking action to researching who it is that comes to their hotel, finding ways of reasons why to get them back, and then cultivating that relationship's unique knowledge into ways of getting them back at times that they wouldn't normally get business.
Right. And for your repeat guests, you can give them something nice like a room category upgrade or something like that,
Sure.
right? You get something like this, which you can do because it's down. That's easy for you to do, and you can take that exact same thing, promote it to non-frequent guests, and then go target, lookalike audiences through whatever. But you don't have to give them the room upgrade, right? You can still have enough value baked in where, yes, you are treating your guests extra special. You've got something special for everybody else, and you're providing value for these partners. I mean, that's a great thing. Oh, look who's here. Kelso says happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hey, so the other part too is and going back to this gift card thing that I'm doing and so forth, you can if you have amenities or tchotchkes of any sort, and you put them into the same retail market availabilities and so forth, you can go over and offer people, it's like, you know what, we can give you 40% off or 50% off any of the amenities listing, because already you've marked up most of that stuff anyway, so you have margin of opportunity. And if it means you just covering the cost of the amenity to have them stay at your hotel for a date, then what's the problem? None.
Right.
You don't make the margin off the amenity, but that was the incentive to it. So if you can go and say, if you stay with us in such and such and such, we would like to go over and give you a 50% discount off on the amenities by staying with us.
We will gift wrap a hotel mattress and help tie it to the roof of your car.
Oh my grandmother's rockers.
Exactly.
But the idea is there's so many creative ways of engagement like this. And if you had a market that you can sell some tchotchkes and giveaways and so forth. One of the things that I always thought was very successful with resorts we did was on our post-stay letter, we said, did you forget something? If you forgot to grab something memorable, here's 25% off our gift shop. We'll wrap it and send it to you. Nothing says I was there like a coffee mug that says I stayed there, And if you don't want to own the collateral, there's retail shops that will customize product for you that you don't have to maintain inventory. Now, they take a bite out of what it is that you have, so you have less margin. But at the end of the day, is that really the concern of yours? If you can just cover the cost, and even sometimes if it doesn't cover the cost, but it generated the additional revenues or the loyalties and so forth, why not? And I wouldn't mind having and that's why I buy little magnet stickers and I have I ordered my little web camera sliders with my logo on them.
Lauren, the one trade show where you had the booth with the tramp stamps, My Hospitality Digital Marketing Tramps, it's great.
That was just Hannah. That wasn't permanent. That was just Hannah.
Mine was permanent. Yeah, the person with the whole the tattoo art.
Certain people they got the permanent stamp.
Was the upgraded? Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, it has been 2 hours and 11 minutes.
It has. Just get the two of us. This is a 4-hour show.
No help necessary. Thank you, everybody.
Exactly. No subject matter required.
No subject matter required. We'll pull it out of thin air, goddammit. But actually, I think the last 20 to 25 minutes of conversation about loyalties, values, propositions, valuable information for somebody to take it to heart. I mean, 2 hours
grossly underserved by the hospitality community.
Too many people are just looking to generate new business, or what is it going to take to get somebody to walk in my door, and they
convert them. Yeah.
About keeping and maintaining the relationship and the value propositions that comes to. So,
and that isn't a sale. That isn't transactional. That is emotional. Yeah. They need to, as I started off, that they need to love you, right? To be able to do. Now that's an interesting test to figure out who really loves you to do it. But you're probably going to wind up with a small subset of who you hoped was just tolerant of you. Or whatever, who knows why people are staying at your hotel? They just go, you know what? Well, I live in Dallas, right? The number of people who hate American Airlines, but maybe executive platinum flight members because they tolerate. It's there. It has all the lift. It has convenience. Their company's paying for most of this. They complain about it. They loathe it, but they play the game. That's not a great. Maybe for an airline where you control nonstop origin destination markets, and you have those locked down, that maybe can work. But boy, if you're a hotel and there are alternatives down the street that can be, less expensive, acquired, maybe they're more expensive, and it's so cool. There's so much value. People spend $50 more because it's so great. You got to fight for everything you have.
So here's, and not that we don't have enough things to talk about or enough reasons to keep on going, but so I'm looking at a business credit card. Okay, and of course I'm looking at American Express Platinum Business and things because I like the fact that there's when traveling that we can go into the lounges and you get the global entry thing and all this other stuff.
$200 of Uber credit a year.
Right. So but here's the thing. I'm now looking at the Capital and Venture card.
Yeah.
And this is something I think is going to be interesting as to how well this goes, as to whether this turns into a change. So Venture Card has it that they've tied up with over a dozen airlines, and they're allowing their venture points, which is based on a 2 point per dollar purchase, to be translated to a 1.5 in points to each of these airlines. So now Canada Air, KLM, they haven't got any American carriers, which I think is a wait and see kind of thing because all the carriers have their own cards. But the idea is that you can move your points whatever you need to whatever airline you need when you need to use them, which to me is freaking brilliant because here's my problem. I'm in Southwest Florida. When I lived in Dallas with you, if I want to get anywhere, American Airlines was it. Sorry. Or Southwest if you want to go to there. So that was it. Now in Southwest, I have Delta, JetBlue, American, and I can't always get the flights that I need to go where I need to go just by trying to hang tight with American Airlines, which I have their credit card on, which gives me preferred seating, which is my ultimate most important thing in the world. Right. I mean, I don't really check in the bag most of the time, but getting on the plane for my bag, really important. And if I'm not flying American, then I always have to buy up to get that option. Well, now you're telling me if I get a credit card, and first off, they're offering 75,000 bonus points for only 3,000 spend in 3 months, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
At a 1.5 point value proposition, I mean, that literally is worth almost $1,000 in transfer value. Right. That's scary. I mean, and so, but to be able to say, okay, I need to take Air Canada. So I'm going to drop 10,000 points on Air Canada so I can get my ticket. Right. Okay. And then next time I have to go to Philadelphia and it'll be like, wait a minute, I'm going to drop 10,000 on Delta if it was available. To get my ticket there. That opens up a whole world of, that's pretty cool. Yep.
And Capital One, for most of these guys, are just buying and selling points. They might not even have necessarily, they may have some sort of point relationship based on a volume sort of level. So they're paying X cents a point, which might be marginally better than somebody else just because they have so much volume. But that's about it. No, this little group out of Barcelona
move points at that level.
Hey, this little company I'm working with out of Barcelona called Currency Alliance. That's what they do. And now they're working with Avios, which is British Airways and Aer Lingus. That whole platform. They're working with Miles and More, which is the which is Lufthansa, and their group of airlines. They're working with Orange Telecom. Now, they haven't penetrated the U.S. quite yet, but what do? They allow any sort of translation of points to partners, and they let each organization controls their own points. They control their valuations. They control the current conversion levels, and they control the partnerships. And all of a sudden, something where you had to use a points.com, which costs, points.com only has like 50 or 60 clients, right? Costs hundreds. You have to spend easily six figures to implement, have huge minimums, right? And they take a 15% VIG out of all these. So, but they're the dominant player, big publicly traded company. But these guys, no implementation cost, no monthly minimums, and 2% of the transaction value, right? They're cutting 80% of the cost out of the stuff. It's amazing. And you should be able to do it where you go, yeah, here's some points that I've used over here. Let's use them at the Farm to Fork, restaurant nearby. Right. Why not? I should be able to pay for my whole meal, probably. What's the conversion value? Right? And you just work those things out. You can establish it. It's very secure. It gets transacted in real time, and you kind of go, that's amazing. It's not one of these things, to get my rental car points, I have to wait 3 or 4 weeks, which is just insane. It's like, why can't I just get the rental car with it now and just use it, right? Just completely seamlessly. But again, there's some companies who are doing, and who knows if they'll ultimately be successful, or not. I mean, they're making some pretty good inroads, but quite honestly, a lot of the major hotel group, it's tough. They're working on a ton of other different things, and this isn't top of mind for them. And you kind of go, oh my God, you can have people go to Applebee's or Chili's or whatever and earn points and translate them into your hotel thing so they can then go stay in your hotel. That would be probably pretty damn good. And guess what? You get the analytics knowing they went to wow, they eat at Applebee's a lot.
Right.
The
profile that you could do from that would be pretty good.
And it's amazing. I mean, as a platform, you look at it and go, wow, the data itself is outstanding. But again, and I think that's where things will be. I mean, again, it may be they're really early, right? Sort of thing. And a lot of groups aren't thinking this way. But but who knows? We'll have to see. Actually, we're working with one group that's an association, and just kind of like a business. They have problems on their own points trying to get it from the central entity down to the hotels, so the hotels have a credit on their folio to apply when somebody wants to go do a local activity or whatever they got as a benefit or a discount on their room, or to pay for the upgrade. Because again, you got to get the money back and forth, right? Ultimately, and the whole accounts receivable process is just a complete cluster. I mean, it is just horrible. So you start looking at platforms like that and going, that's got to be the future, right? Because those loyalty points are a currency that have value, and you shouldn't be, I can burn my 20,000 points to get a magazine subscription because they're going to expire. I mean, no, stop that. Let's have some, build utility into these where people can use them, because you're supposed to love your customers and they're supposed to love you. So why abuse them by saying you didn't love us enough? You didn't come by for Thanksgiving enough, so you're cut off from the family, sort of thing, right? Which is kind of how the hotels deal with these guys, right? It's like, you don't do the thing that's good for us, you're screwed, right? Yeah. So,
Mr.
Anyway,
Robert, we are 2
we're
hours
going for way too long. I've got to go do some things, and I do have some plans to interact with my family later
after
today.
they get back from Black Friday happiness. For those who want to know more about Holly's efforts, she is the lead of the program called Influencer Sales. I don't know her direct email for it, so I'll give her the email that I know she does have, which is holly@hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. That will get you connected to Holly. Holly, next time I talk, I got to make sure I get your influencer sales email, because I probably have to change the listing in the Webinar Jam platform so that I can reflect that. And that's all for group sales and hospitality sales. She's a phenomenal instructor, and she has an online program, as we mentioned on the show today, as well as a component of coming to your business. If you have at least 20 people, I guess, is what it's probably talking about, and having the sales training done one-on-one. Mr. Robert, people want to know about you and the fabulous Rock Cheetah system of integrated intelligence and blockchain capability. Where is it that they go to?
To always go to timpeter.com. No, to rockcheetah.com or at Robert K. Cole on all forms of social media.
For the archive of today's show, as well as all the links of the programs and platforms we're talking about today, which I promise will be in there as show notes to this, you can go to hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live. There, look for show number 172's link. That will bring you to its separate page, which will have a player of the show in its entirety, as well as all the links we just mentioned. With that in mind, Mr. Robert, thank you very, very much. A belated happy Thanksgiving, happy Black Friday happiness thing. And a very
I'm happy Black Friday
Cyber
always,
Monday.
I'm pretty sure.
A successful Cyber Monday. And welcome to the holiday season of joy and happiness. So, but thank you very much. And to that,
and
everyone
commerce.
else.
Yeah.
And commerce, yes. Please join us next Friday at 11:30 Eastern for show number 173. We might have some of our other co-hosts join us back at that time, since it's now into the throes of business as usual, at least for the next few weeks. So until then, we hope you enjoy the show. Take care, everyone. Bye now.